Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time for 2027 Oscar predictions. That's right. It's March. Who cares? We just had an Oscar contender that got released. My objective, of course, is to be accurate and try to guess accurately what the next Oscars are going to be. However, the more fun and the deeper purpose, I think, of this is you're going to get a preview of a lot of the exciting films that are coming out this year. Now, in previous years, we've done this by just making a disgustingly long list, like 1 through, 50 or 60 of all the films, because we are trying to, at least have every film on the list somewhere. And even there, we don't succeed at that. But this year, I think it'd be an interesting experiment to try and not bias ourselves by doing it like this. We thought maybe we'll come up with different buckets for categories of Oscar contenders and then try to pick a couple out of each bucket. And at the end of the video, we'll give you our final ranking. So the buckets that we've come up with, and they're a little bit flexible. So not every film will fit neatly into just one, but we got Cannes contenders, we got prestige juggernauts. That would be a filmmaker who has a track record with the Oscars, who has, especially if they have a bunch of crafts, like the 10 plus nomination movies. Blockbuster or audience sensations, those happen every year. Fall Festival hopefuls. Now, this is a slightly different category than the prestige juggernaut, because I would say a Fall Festival hopeful is maybe the filmmaker hasn't broken out. Maybe it's not the number one priority for everybody at the festival, but it's an interesting film and it's probably, and we're going to guess it's a fall contender. And then we got the smaller categories of Sundance films. We'll also talk a little bit about Berlin and South by. The last category is original film breakout sensation, and this is Sinners or Everything Everywhere, where it's not really an Oscar movie. It's maybe a low to mid budget film that kind of surprises everybody, catches them off guard. It's holy shit, that was really cool. And those don't always happen though. Let's start with Sundance. Last year we had Train Dreams. The year before that we had A Real Pain. We tend to underestimate that there will be a film that comes out of Sundance and actually does kind of well, but it doesn't happen every year. I mean, last year we definitely underestimated Train Dreams for sure. There was Past Lives, which we actually were over-indexing for a little bit. Sure. And then, Sorry Baby last year didn't do anything. And of course you had Coda, but that was a while ago. So the main Sundance film that a lot of people are predicting, and when you look at a lot of the write-ups of Oscar contenders to look out for, Josephine is on a lot of these lists because it's the most acclaimed film from Sundance, I think by far. It has a great letterbox, and it explores an issue from an angle that people really haven't seen before. So it definitely will, continue to get people talking. Having seen Josephine, it's very notable for its strong point of view from the little girl's perspective. And it's really about how the adults around her respond to the situation. Personally, I'm a little biased because I thought Josephine had some problems, and I don't agree with what it's saying. There's something that feels wrong to me about it. Either that or it just feels forced to me. It's trying to force me to arrive at this conclusion, but I personally didn't think that was what was important. Yeah, but you should put that aside. It didn't really ring true. You should put that aside. I will put it aside, but it's a very well-made film. But here's the thing, we should consider, how many film nominations a film could possibly get. Sundance films aren't known for getting craft nominations, right? If I were to believe this is an Oscar film, we'd be looking at picture, director, screenplay, maybe a supporting nomination. It would really help if there was a acting contender here. And we also have to try to guess, is this going to be a top 10 film of the year overall in the aggregate for critics? Are they going to absolutely love it? It has a 4 on Letterboxd. It has a 95% with an 8.5 average rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And it has an 86 on Metacritic. If this was a contender, it would probably get nominated for screenplay, Channing Tatum, maybe director, casting probably because there's a little girl in it. Cinematography. Casting, but there's not a lot of actors in it. So I don't agree with that. No, it would get casting for the little girl. It would. That's it? Yep. Just what? Whoa. When you cast a newcomer who's going to win all the newcomer awards this year, casting is also about breadth. We discovered that last year, Secret Agent, Marty Supreme. Well, there's a kid at the center. Well, there's a kid at the center. Hamnet did not have this breadth that you speak of. Name the performers in Josephine. Channing Tatum, Gemma Chan, the little girl. 3 people. The guy, there's a couple side characters, there's a couple lawyers, there's, whatever. Ensemble? No. Okay. So it wouldn't even be close to SAG Ensemble. Listen, there's something about Josephine that, and I think it's even besides that I didn't love the movie. It didn't necessarily rub me as a slam dunk in any way. Channing Tatum didn't seem like a slam dunk. Gemma Chan is... The lead actress, I would be pretty surprised if she got nominated. On its best day, I suppose it's maybe a cinematography contender. That is a strong area of the movie, but I'm just trying to give it the best case scenario because of how we've underestimated movies in the past. But ultimately, I think this a lot came down to who picks this film up, who is going to be the distributor. It is Sumerian Pictures. Who the fuck is that? This is their first outing as an Oscar studio. And look, the reason that this wasn't picked up by A24, if I'm to speculate, is because they don't see this as having strong commercial prospects. Because it's about a very difficult subject matter. Not a lot of people necessarily want to sit through a movie like that. I mean, that was kind of the weakness of Mass. Absolutely. That was the weakness of Mass. And it was also kind of the weakness of women talking. People were like, why do I want to like sit through that?
Even we saw with the anonymous ballots, as well as Hamnet did overall in the season, some people were saying, hey, it took me a while to get to this film because I don't want to watch a movie about a dead kid. Josephine has just a really tough subject matter. Visibility is everything. You know, whether you're making noise or not, and there is a chance that Josephine just doesn't make that much noise.
I think it's highly likely that given the studio, it's going to make less than $10 million worldwide and just not make a lot of noise. I think that's just the most likely scenario.
If Netflix got this, would you say it's going to get in?
That would absolutely be a different story. Even if A24 got it, it would be a different story, or Focus or whoever. I think it's, also like Sorry Baby. It didn't make that much money. It was a great movie. But it just wasn't in the awards conversation at the end of the year. Channing Tatum is the most likely prospect for the film and supporting actor. But if the movie's not happening, I don't think he'll happen.
I also think with Sundance movies, it's interesting. A Real Pain, I was like, man, that movie should win supporting actor. Or for Train Dreams, I was like, that movie should win cinematography. There's one element that stands out so much.
Well, I said after Real Pain, I was like, that's at least a screenplay in a whatever category Kieran Culkin's in, I think, right?
Yeah. I think there's a hard nomination for Josephine to single out and say, that should be nominated. Because, I think Channing Tatum's good in it, but I don't necessarily think he's a slam dunk for that. So, at the same time, it's kind of the movie that I think is highest for, getting a woman in director.
At the moment, it's hard to see that many contenders.
The moral of the story is that we're going to put Josephine in the same slot for this year as we put A Real Pain and Train Dreams in the last 2 years.
In the high 20s?
Yeah, in the 20s.
And then there'd be an egg on our face once again if we get it wrong, right? So
sure. But I think Sumerian Pictures really made everybody step back from
I think that's a really good reason. All the other movies that we're going to discuss about Sundance and Berlin have no distributor, and it's a big problem as well.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about The Wait with Ethan Hawke. This movie, it got good, solid reviews, but there's something about it that's very Oscar bait. It's kind of a throwback. The movies that people say it's a combination of. It's it's a combination of Shawshank and Treasure of Sierra Madre and Sorcerer and all these classic Hollywood films. And apparently it has sick sound design, great cinematography, a good score, and a really good performance from Ethan Hawke. And even the casting nomination, there's a case of, because people say the ensemble of Prisoners is quite good.
Yeah, I did see some very positive reactions, friends on Letterboxd giving it 4.5 out of 5, but ultimately it is a 3.6 on Letterboxd.
But what if it's a movie that plays squarely to the Academy? But here's where I'm done.
When does that happen?
Here's where I'm done. It doesn't have a distributor. What is going on where a movie like this that actually has a dad movie appeal?
Yeah.
Now, a studio can't even pick it up. I'm a little scared about the state of movies right now with
but
studios
this happened
not
last year at
up.
Sundance too.
No, it didn't. Sorry Baby and Train Dreams were acquired immediately.
I think Twinless got acquisition as well. But
by a random studio, and Twinless went nowhere, and Plainclothes went nowhere as well, because they weren't big distributors. Again, if The Wait was acquired by a big studio like Netflix, I would take it seriously. Can't do anything about it.
The Wait just got acquired by Vertical Pictures for a mid-September release date. Both of those things are not good.
So there's The Invite from director Olivia Wilde, and this has been compared to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. It's a comedy drama. It's about two couples. Seth Rogen is one of the leads.
It's like one night at a dinner party, it seems.
Yeah, you got Edward Norton, Penelope Cruz, and Olivia Wilde. I think there might be the only 4 people in the whole cast. And this is said to be very, very good.
It has fantastic Letterboxd scores.
Yeah.
With critics, it's at a 91%, 7.5. That's not a slam dunk.
I think this looks like it might be gunning for a screenplay nomination.
I think that there's a possible supporting plays for some of the actors, too. I don't know who's leading, who's supporting, but I remember some people think that there's some prospects there.
Yeah. If they can sort that out and maybe give somebody a campaign, maybe there is a supporting nomination.
I mean, A24, we talk about how studios weren't getting movies. They bought this for this massive price tag.
This was the biggest sell.
This is coming out in June, and I think it's mainly a commercial play. But If it does really well and gets a lot of chatter, at the end of it still might be like a Challengers type of situation though, where it's like, yeah, there's like a movie Letterboxd likes, it's kind of a comedy.
There's a lot of prestige actors in there.
But I heard that Olivia Wilde is better than Penelope Cruz. Like if it was a fucking crazy role for Penelope Cruz, it'd be like, oh yeah, like that makes sense.
It's definitely interesting. Like I think I'm going to have this in adapted screenplay unless I truly can't make room for it at this point in the year. It's good to have this on the radar.
Let's go to Berlin. So there's Mouse, which is from the directors of Ghostlight. And this has really strong reviews.
Yep.
Really great critic reviews, great Letterboxd.
Excellent reviews.
It's not like a 90 on Metacritic, top 5 of the year territory, but I think like Ghostlight, it is, very emotional and has great performances. If the right studio bought this, maybe it could get an awards run. But again, it doesn't have the right studio. It doesn't have any studios. It does not have distribution.
I see people giving this like 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5 though. This is more acclaimed, I think, than Josephine.
Feels more like a pandemic contender. Very small size.
It doesn't have a Metacritic score yet, but the thing that strikes me about Mouse is there are acting prospects here. Sophie Okonedo in the supporting role here, if this got nominated for Best Picture, I believe she would be in contention to win. That's how strong the praise is around her performance. For lead actress, the daughter in Ghostlight is the lead here, Catherine Mellon Kupfer, and she is said to be excellent.
Good luck getting nominated as a fresh face that's that young. Good luck.
Well, if you're helming a movie like this and you're like crying all the time, then it can happen.
Amelia Jones didn't even get nominated for Coda.
I think she would be a maybe, but Sophie Okonedo would definitely get in.
Look, I just don't think, again, this is going to be a movie that's too small.
I don't think we should say too small, because there's often one contender that's the indie that could, and
look
last
at
year
the
that was
past
Train
2
Dreams.
years. Train Dreams was a big period movie with...
You say that now, but literally your argument last year was that it's too small to fry, and that if Sing Sing couldn't do it, this can't do it.
I know, but we didn't see that Train Dreams truly was a prestige period drama. It was. It was.
This is a prestige film too because of the performances.
Buddy, there are lots of well-acted, small-scale indies that just aren't big enough for the Oscars.
I think we need to tell them what it's about.
It's a grief drama. That's
it's a grief drama.
There's a lot of those.
Like, people come out of it being like, oh my god, I'm healed. There are people who really connect with it and love it. I would not write it off.
It's not going to happen.
If it got proper, adequate distribution, you would say it's not going to happen. You wouldn't put that in your top 10 if Searchlight got that?
If Searchlight... but you have to understand, why aren't the studios getting it? They don't believe it has commercial prospects.
That's fair.
They think this is a small film. We don't have stars. We don't have major filmmakers. The last film they did was Ghostlight, and it's like an indie spirit movie. It's just what it is. I
will do very
want
well
to see movies
spirit.
like this, and I want to see the movie, but it's like an indie spirit movie.
Well, I think we have to, be cautionary, because last year we were predicting Amziah King, and that had excellent reactions out of South by, but then it didn't get distribution, and then Black Bear picked it up, and now it's coming out this August. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Really bizarre. I will not put this film in because of the distribution thing, but I will say if it did have distribution and it was significant, then I would put it in my top 10. The reactions I read were that level. And if you don't think so, you should read the fucking reactions.
Okay, in the past 2 years, you do not get small-scale talkie dramas without major stars, period.
I see Nickel Boys. I see Train Dreams.
Period drama.
I see Past Lives.
Past Lives is an exception. Past Lives is the exception. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's room for one
Past
movie.
Lives is the exception. It barely got in, and A24 got it.
I think it's
and it got
harder,
a 90 fucking 4 on Metacritic.
It's harder to get in, but it can happen.
Here's the movie that I'm even closer on from Berlin.
Okay.
Queen at Sea.
Oh my god, it's an indie film that's not a period movie.
Huh. Guess what it has?
88 on Metacritic.
Previously nominated actors.
Sophie Okonedo has a nomination, by the way.
That's good.
She was nominated for Hotel Rwanda.
I agree that she'll get some attention, and that would be cool.
Yeah, I think critics are really going to hype her up.
Queen at Sea has a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes with an 8.4 average rating. It's great. It's a dementia drama. We've seen those do well. 3 performances in here that are supposed to be really strong. Juliette Binoche in the lead role. Anna Caller-Marshall as her mom who has dementia, and Tom Courtenay as her husband, who's also dealing with having a wife with dementia. Tom Courtenay is actually a legend. Juliette Binoche is a legend. These are 2 legends. Tom Courtenay was nominated for Dr. Zhivago in 1966. That's how much of a legend he is.
And nominated in 1984.
Yeah, so that's a huge gap between nominations. Again, this does not have distribution. What is going on? If this was Sony Pictures Classics, I would actually predict Binoche. I would actually maybe predict Tom Courtenay.
I think if this had distribution like that, you could put it into action categories.
I think people don't love it the same as The Father. Blue Moon was successful last year. The strategy seemed to be bring it back at the fall festivals, and you'd have a studio like SPC to do it.
The strategy for Sundance also is you must bring it back at the fall festivals. You know, again, that's why Mouse needs distribution. That's why Mziah King needed distribution.
And again, I think it's a red flag that they don't have it because the studios are not seeing commercial prospects for these movies. It's rough out there. It's a rough time out there. And this year, what did we see? Movies that made a splash, made some money, were chatted about in the zeitgeist, in the conversation. Those movies are much safer than your little indies, right?
Silence around your movie is death. So you got to make a lot of noise. I mean, it was just an accident, just didn't make enough noise. And The Secret Agent made more because it had Wagner Moura and it won a bunch of Golden Globes. Really, that's it.
That's right.
I feel like this video is a little bit blue balls because like last year we were like #1, The Odyssey, but now we're like, all right, we're gonna slowly bring you in with Sundance and then Berlin and talk about what's happening.
No, this is great. They're in it for the long haul. This is
no, you gotta buckle up. Like they gotta buckle. If they're not already like sitting down with their coffee, like I don't know, then they're not watching it right. So did you observe anything from South by?
I Love Boosters was a question for a little bit.
Right, I Love Boosters.
South by's not done actually, but I Love Boosters was kind of looking a little everything everywhere-ish, and Boots Riley is a really ambitious filmmaker. The trailer comes out and you think, damn, that could get nominated for costumes. Holy shit. You know, and then you think, wow, you know, Keke Palmer, lead actress, Demi Moore, supporting actor, like kind of interesting.
You could see the package come together, but I think the reviews suggest that it's not quite there.
Not quite there.
And you know what? Boots Riley, based on Sorry to Bother You, like you could have also just guessed that it would be too quirky, like in tone, or even just like too heavy-handed. So I'm not really sure if this film has those elements. These films are also very socialist, communist themed. You can read into other movies that have done well with those themes, but his are very like explicit about that.
I mean, essentially, if you were going to be a movie that premieres at South by, comes out a couple weeks later, and go to the Oscars, you'd have to be easily like consensus one of the best movies of the year.
You'd have to be
top 5.
Well, that's where you'd have to fit into the bucket of original sensation that does really well at the box office unexpectedly.
Yeah.
So I just don't think this is that. Maybe since we talked about a bunch of indie films, we should just go right into like blockbuster territory, since that category is also really easy to categorize films into. We have to put The Odyssey in. You have The Odyssey in. Everybody has The Odyssey in. It makes a ton of sense.
If there was one movie that I had to put my life on getting a nomination,
correct.
Well,
no,
you could maybe say Project Hail Mary, just because it's come out.
Nope.
Okay, fine. The Odyssey.
Correct. The Odyssey. This looks like a craft juggernaut. I don't see how this wouldn't be an Oscar player. I guess actually you're right. Maybe there is a chance that this is not considered one of Nolan's very best films and it just gets a lot of craft nominations. But even then, if you're thinking it gets like 6+ craft nominations, how do you not get into Best Picture?
Yeah, I think
it just seems like it will make a ton of money. You're coming off of Oppenheimer,
right?
Which was a fucking 3-hour drama, made almost $1 billion worldwide. The Odyssey's probably looking at those kind of numbers.
Even if it was an Interstellar situation where critics were like a little unsure on it, but audiences liked it, I believe that given that Oppenheimer just happened and Nolan won an Oscar, it would still get in. Even if there are criticisms from people who are very like purist about the book, who are very precious about the source material, I still think that a broad audience would just be into it. Kind of like, I mean, again, Frankenstein could get in because it was a movie that was kind of like, oh yeah, the big screen, we love that, like Del Toro.
Yeah. Ultimately, people are going to be saying, no one does it like Nolan. No one's able to do it like this, and we're grateful for his films. And, do I think it will be as acclaimed as Oppenheimer? No, I don't. But I think this film is quite a juggernaut that survives, even if you throw a couple bullets its way. So you got to have it in.
Song is the only category that I think that it's not contending in tech-wise.
And you don't even know that. I was also privileged enough to see the 6-minute or so IMAX preview, and it is pretty visually stunning, and the score especially stands out to me. Part of me is like, this is sort of, like men running around in helmets and like shields sort of material. That makes me a little like, I don't know if I'm gonna love it personally, but it looks very exciting. Project Hail Mary fits this definition. We talked about it in our review. We're anticipating like 6 to 9 nominations for this, including screenplay, best actor, best picture. At every point in the film, I was thinking this is Oscar material. This makes sense. It's broadly appealing. Critics like it. Audiences will love it. There's no reason to go against Project Hail Mary.
Pure crowd pleaser, makes sense for a lot of techs, not dissimilar to other films that have been nominated, and the kind of movie that as long as it does well at the box office, it can survive coming out early. That's really what we've learned is you can easily survive coming out early as long as you've got some nice numbers to show for it. People are still talking about you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes the highly visible crowd pleasers beat out the little indie that could, like in the case of F1. You know, it's funny because sometimes it depends year to year what people think is possible. Like, the year after Dune 2 like underperformed at the Oscars, people were like, oh, Sinners can't even get in because it came out in April, like Dune 2 did. And this year, I don't think anybody is saying that Project Hail Mary can't get in. But if it came out the year after Dune came out, people will be like, oh, it's going to underperform just like Dune 2. Every movie's different, guys. Let's talk about Dune 3. I'm worried about it. I'm worried. So the trailer came out today, the perfect day to do an early predictions video because of that. Put the trailer aside. Like, the trailer's all exciting and cool looking.
Perfectly good.
Perfectly good. Based on the books, Dune Messiah is a sort of correcting the record for the misinterpretation that the Dune movies were about the ascent of, like, a true Messiah.
So it's Dune Folia, duh.
It's Dune Folia, duh, if you want to put it that way, I guess.
I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster, to be fair.
And the book does not have as many action sequences. It is heavy on the politics. It's heavy on the political commentary. It's heavy on theme building and like wrapping up loose threads. It's allegedly painting this picture of, Paul Atreides as this sort of corrupted figure. And the thing is, Dune 2 actually made it really clear to audiences and filmgoers that we're not supposed to feel good about Timmy in the end. So part of me is like, Villeneuve did a good job with Dune, so much so that it's not necessary to say that again, because we have that perspective that he gives us through Zendaya's character, and we're like, well, he betrayed her, right? He backstabbed her. This is not necessarily a good guy. It's just a very man who became very powerful, and we don't know what he's going to do next.
It could still be an exciting movie about, his further descent into this.
Yes, but the subject matter that we're exploring here, like, it's the opposite of Dune 2. It's low key, sad, somber. People like the book less, but people don't really criticize the book for its themes. They criticize the book saying like, well, as a reader, I didn't find it as engaging or fun. I wasn't as excited, but I can understand how it is tying together all of the themes, and I know why this is necessary.
So my impression is that this will satisfy the diehard Dune lovers.
Yeah, it might underwhelm the people who wanted Dune to be more of an action film.
My gut's telling me it won't have as good reviews as the second, and it'd probably be more similar to the first.
I could predict that Dune is going to have, like, a couple action scenes added. Like, they're going to depict some wars that weren't originally depicted in the book or gone into detail of. But I don't want to do that completely, because I remember, like, trying to predict that Wicked for Good was going to, maybe make up for the second half's lackluster reception by adding in musical numbers and all this stuff. And it didn't really work. Ultimately, the source material and the way people felt about the second half of the play, like, was exactly how the second film was perceived.
Well, also, I think that we saw last year a pretty intense rejection of sequels. It seems like sequels have diminishing returns. Mm-hmm. They will probably nominate this one for less than they did the last one. It would have to be as good as Dune 2, if not better, for them to nominate it like in all those categories again, and maybe even do better than the last one. But
and the problem,
as it stands, the categories that it's locked in is, maybe visual effects and sound, and that's like it. You can't say that it's locked in cinematography or production design this time. Yeah. You just can't.
I think we learned our lesson with Dune 2. I mean, and I think Dune 2 was, like, across the board a better film than the first one, and it didn't even do as well.
Because they don't like nominating the same thing again.
They have to be excited. They have to feel like this is something new and I haven't seen this before.
To be fair, it will come out in December, which is better than Dune 2 coming out in March. I think that it probably suffered from that a little bit. The Critics' Choice are going to go nuts for Dune 3. They are going to go nuts for Dune Messiah. They're going to nominate in all the categories. They're going to try to get Villeneuve in there again. Then we're going to have to see how it does later on.
I know people will compare it to the Lord of the Rings series because the Two Towers got 7 nominations, kind of minimal. Like, it got the crafts, it got Best Picture, similar to Dune 2 actually, and the first one performed better. Now, and then they were like, oh, well, we're waiting until the last one and then we're going to get all these awards. I don't want to hear anyone calling this Return of the King. Return of the King was like the most exciting thing that the series has been building to. Dune Messiah is like a feature-length epilogue. It is not the most exciting film. It is just what Villeneuve considers to be a necessary part of the Dune storytelling, it's not going to be Return of the King. I'm sorry. This is my prediction at this point.
I mean, maybe it can still squeeze in. Maybe it's a good bet for your 10 right now because we don't have a lot of certainty.
Yeah.
I'm teetering. I just think it gets less nominations. I don't think, people can scramble and be like, oh, Robert Pattinson's going to get nominated this time or, whatever they want to say, and I just don't agree with you. It's not going to get acting nominations. It's not going to get anything the other ones didn't, unless it's a fucking incredible, actually arguably the best of the three. So Disclosure Day, the new Spielberg film. Now, you could predict this just on default of saying, hey, this is Spielberg. He does really well all the time.
But he makes a lot of Oscar bait. When was the last time he got in for not doing Oscar bait?
Yeah. I mean,
seriously.
You could say this is Oscar bait in a sense. It's not far-fetched that it's a sci-fi drama. And it's very much, grounded in the human story here. Like Close Encounters, which was nominated for Best Director, by the way. In some ways, maybe a spiritual
And E.T.
sequel.
was also, a huge contender.
Yeah, so, it's a kind of a throwback to that, but I don't think it looks that good.
Yeah,
think
honestly,
it looks that good. I just don't.
I agree. The trailers have really cooled me off of this film. I was excited initially to hear that Spielberg was going back to his sci-fi roots. I love his early sci-fi films, but I just think he's kind of lost his touch. I'm not excited about this film visually. I'm not that excited about the story. I think it looks like it's on track to underwhelm people, to be honest. And I hate to say it. I like Spielberg a lot.
Maybe there's a world where this absolutely surprises me.
It just looks like an action mystery. It just looks like an action movie. It just seems like it's very modern day as well. It's trying to be about how aliens are among us and there's some kind of cover-up going on. And Josh O'Connor is leaking these documents to the public. He's the whistleblower.
I don't really know what it would say other than just it's a celebration of kind of the belief that something's out there and the need to disclose. Is it challenging? Is it interesting? Is it really saying that much at all? We will have to wait for the movie to see, but I just am not...
I'm not anticipating that's going to be that good. I actually think I'm going to be a little bit surprised. I'm getting my expectations low, and then I'm going to be happy with the film ultimately because I think Spielberg usually pulls it off. But I think generally it's not going to be one of the most acclaimed films of the year. And I think it might just be good, not amazing.
The only nomination I have it for is score because it's John Williams.
Yeah.
The visual effects don't even look that good.
The visual effects look ass.
Any other blockbusters? I would say The Dog Stars, Ridley Scott. Claims it's his best movie.
He claimed Gladiator 2 was...
Gladiator 2 as well.
Yes, he did.
Ridley Scott, absolutely someone who has, I think, lost his touch in many ways. Post-apocalyptic world virus wipes out humanity. Survivors face roaming scavengers called Reapers. The book it's based on is apparently good. It's got a good cast with Jacob Elordi, Margaret Qualley, Josh Brolin, Guy Pearce. I'm not going to predict a Ridley Scott summer blockbuster, though. I'm just not.
I agree that it sounds good, and I'm hoping it's good, but I'm not going to predict a Ridley Scott movie either. He's so all over the place. The other exciting blockbuster is The End of Oak Street. This is one where it's harder to know what to expect because it's the director of Under the Silver Lake and It Follows, David Robert Mitchell. Now, we didn't really see this coming from him, did we? Seeing a summer Warner Bros. Film that is alleged to have dinosaurs in it. It's a time travel movie.
This is definitely a kind of a throwback to the Spielbergian movies in the 80s.
It could be a better Spielberg movie than Spielberg's own movie.
Yeah.
I can see people saying that.
It takes place in the 80s, so that's a bit of a prestige aspect of it, that it's a period movie. Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor are in it. That's good.
Yeah. Maybe Anne Hathaway's really good.
David Robert Mitchell's films are very well crafted. So that's also a plus. It's coming out in August. That's not really a date that you're expecting award success. I don't really know what that is.
I would ignore the date. When it comes to summer blockbusters, they're just trying to make money. I'm excited about it, but I don't expect a awards film from it. I might put this, above Disclosure Day.
There's also Warner Brothers. This could be a nice little original Warner Brothers hit. And they had a lot of those last year. Oh, Narnia. I don't know what the deal is with the theatrical release here. I sure hope they'll give it a good theatrical release because of how well Barbie did. And Narnia probably will be a big screen event. Greta Gerwig. Look, you would not think that a Narnia film would be an Oscar contender. You would not think that a Barbie movie would be an Oscar contender. And arguably the one person who could have made that happen was Greta Gerwig. And she did it with flying colors. That film was a cultural phenomenon. It had a lot to say. Gerwig has a lot on her mind as a filmmaker. I absolutely trust that she is getting to the meat of the story, the meat of the characters. Yeah. That's what she's interested in.
Yeah, and I think she finds a way to bring in the personal into whatever she's making. The fact that Barbie was such an autorial vision when it seems like a film where whoever's directing that is just going to get caught up in the gears of the studio Hollywood system, and it was anything but that. I think there's a lot to be excited about with Narnia, especially with the fact that when it comes to this broad bucket of films that we're talking about, all of them get craft nominations. Even like F1. We shouldn't have wrote it off, and the reason we shouldn't have was because it was a craft contender. It was an editing contender, a sound contender, a visual effects contender.
And the other reason is because it had really good audience scores, and it did really well as an original-ish movie.
Narnia is absolutely a craft contender. There's no doubt about it. There will be a lot of attention paid to the production design, costumes, visual effects.
I mean, this is a high fantasy period film.
Yeah.
It's going to have a lot of visual effects, and it's going to have a talking lion as one of the main characters.
Yeah, and the Chronicles of Narnia film got
4 nominations, right?
There you go.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, so
makeup and all this shit.
So
Production
everyone's
design,
going to see it.
costumes. Yeah.
It's going to have lots of visibility. This is worth predicting. This is worth predicting.
Was going back and forth on it because I thought Narnia really, but look, that's a classic book. For a reason, it means something to people. The characters have substance, and The Magician's Nephew, which is the book that they're adapting here, is one of the most acclaimed, high-rated films. It's not The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is the one that most people know, but this is one of the books in the series people like the best. Are the sequels going to get nominated? Maybe not. I'm not talking about that right now.
Probably not. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
This is the first film.
This is beloved source material. Gerwig likely cherishes the source material. She wouldn't adapt something that she doesn't have a strong connection with, and I just simply trust Greta Gerwig to deliver something that is heartfelt, entertaining, thought-provoking, and well-crafted.
It's got guaranteed crafts coming in the door. Greta Gerwig's at the helm. And maybe Daniel Craig can come along for a supporting actor nomination.
No one's predicting except for me. High visibility, too, on this one. High visibility film.
Cinephiles and audiences alike may be able to rejoice with this one. If Frankenstein can make it, I think this can make it.
Also Netflix,
Frankenstein
too.
can get in.
You want to have a couple blockbusters in here? We've got Narnia, we got Project Hail Mary. Maybe Dune will happen.
We have The Odyssey. That's 3.
That's actually a lot. We got our blockbusters covered.
We have to put those 3 in, and I think I can't squeeze Dune in there because of that. We're not done with this bucket yet, though. The Great Beyond, J.J. Abrams.
Oh, come on.
Look, J.J. Abrams, I know that when he came out with Super 8, people were like, oh, he's the next Spielberg, and like, I know he's not. It's there. It's a supernatural horror film.
Glenn Powell, Jenna Ortega.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
let's be fun.
I don't think so.
A young newlywed couple struggles to survive a supernatural entity.
So
it's a survival horror movie. Yeah, I don't see it.
James Friend is the cinematographer. All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay, I think it's going to be a good-looking, well-crafted alien horror movie.
I guess I am glad that J.J. Abrams is doing an original film. I will support that it should be on the list. I didn't even know.
No, it's definitely in this category.
And it's coming out in November, too.
Another Warner Bros. Film.
This seems very blockbuster territory with, like, Glenn Powell being the leading man.
Yeah.
Look, we're not predicting it, but
no,
it's
on the
list.
Have
it on the radar, sure. What do we think about Michael?
Oh my god.
Michael Jackson biopic. Early on when I heard about this, I was like, well, there's $1 billion. There is makeup, costumes, production design, huge budget.
And of course, lead actor.
Bohemian Rhapsody 2.0. But we've had so many biopics then, so many musical biopics. Some of them hit. Some of them don't. Of course, this one will have the cash flowing in a way we haven't seen since Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
We should also recall that we predicted Michael in the top 10 of our last year's early predictions.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yes, we did. And we predicted Deliver Me From Nowhere because we were like, look, if A Complete Unknown got in, one of these films is going to be as good as that. Now, Springsteen happened, wasn't as good, and Michael didn't come out. What happened to Michael since then? A lot. Michael was supposed to come out last fall. But then the victims' families of Michael Jackson's criminal case said that the film was in violation of their contract. They were not supposed to use their likeness in something like this. They had to like redo the whole fucking ending. The rumors are that a lot of this film had to do with that. This was like classic womb to tomb biopic where they were going to show the whole court case and all the trials, and they had to fucking throw it in the garbage.
Well, they were going to maybe
they are
do
not
2
legally
parts.
able to do that.
Here's what they're doing now. They had a maybe 4-hour cut on their hands.
Yeah.
Now they've got probably a 2.5-hour cut. That's just the rise of Michael Jackson. They're going to cut off the tail of this movie.
Yeah. Like they may have reshot some scenes as well, just to like make that film whole. One whole.
Are allegedly they are considering doing a sequel. If the first does well, where they will use some of the footage that they have and then reshoot other parts.
Right.
So, what the fuck Frankenstein movie is this? Also, I think it might get bad critic reviews, straight up bad. First of all, Anton Fuqua, I mean, it looks like a handsomely made movie or whatever, but he is not a hit with the critics.
But he's consistent in that he always gets like yellow Metacritic scores. Anton Fuqua is not considered a bad filmmaker, and you shouldn't paint it like that.
No, he's just like a blockbuster.
He's considered a filmmaker who makes films for the audience, and he doesn't really like. They're not bringing critics in.
Even Emancipation, though, that was kind of an Oscar type movie. It just not at all. What I'm saying is that plus the fact that this is like the biggest, most commercial music biopic about a figure who is more controversial than the others. Critics will not like this movie at all. If you want to make a case for this movie, you'll have to say that the critics will not matter and that everybody else will just eat this the fuck up. But I think that these biopics are getting a little transparent about like, yeah, you're just trying to make a movie where like I like you and I root for you, and maybe we're kind of bored of that. It will have to last throughout the year, which again, I said is possible because it will make money, but
that's enough time for people to turn against it.
Will anybody who's actually serious think this is one of the best movies of the year?
I'm not going to put it in. I don't necessarily blame someone for thinking it's still a thing, because when you're an original film and you make $1 billion, you usually have Oscar buzz and you usually get in. And this one also has some potential nominations, regardless of whether it lands in Best Picture. And I would say Best Actor is still possible.
No. They're not going to let him in.
Bro, the guy is like becoming Michael Jackson, doing all the moves and stuff. Like, Oscar voters and the industry love that shit. They'll
gatekeep him.
They love that.
They'll gatekeep him, even if he gets
Austin Butler got in for Elvis.
That was different.
Why wasn't he gatekeeped?
I don't think that he's going to get nominated without the movie. Absolutely not.
I mean, so many people just want Michael Jackson to be recreated, and I think they're going to say that the movie resurrects him in a positive way. Maybe it's a good thing that the film is not 3.5 hours long and that the last hour is about Michael Jackson and how he didn't do it. Because that's going to really make critics hate it. I think it's not impossible.
It's not
I don't
impossible.
want to totally write it off, but there's just so many, like, there's just so much that's happened at this point that I'm expecting it to be a bit of a mess. Then we can do another bucket called Unexpected Breakout. Like, maybe this is a riskier film, but it pays off and audiences flock to it and critics love it and everybody loves it and it gets in like Sinners, Everything Ever All at Once. Now, we've already had a couple flies drop from this category. Films that weren't supposed to be blockbusters were a bit of a risk, like Wuthering Heights, The Bride. Those are not contenders, but they tried.
Would you put Werewolf in this?
I might put Werewolf in here because it's a little different. It's not a fall festival movie, right? It's not quite a juggernaut in the sense that Robert Eggers has not gotten a film in before, but Nosferatu did very well and everybody knows who he is. It is important for this film that it gets a good box office reception.
Well, look, this is one of Focus Features only films, and Nosferatu got 4 nominations. So you could say that film was getting kind of close. I mean, it didn't get PGA, could have. You know, maybe it will be like Nosferatu, but even better, and everyone will be ready to embrace him now. My thing is that I feel like this is too much of a Nosferatu Part 2. And obviously that's just easy to say, given that I haven't seen a trailer or anything, but it's yet another kind of like monster story take on like an old legend. Yeah. It's coming out at the similar time of the year. It's aiming for the similar like box office success.
Yep.
And the similar crafts as well. Makeup, cinematography, costumes, production design.
Yep. And those are very likely prospects. I mean, especially like makeup, that's definitely getting nominated.
And a lot of the same members of the cast, too. I think that this will be actually nominated in less categories than Nosferatu because, consider this, all of his films, Metacritic score 84, 83, 82, 81. It's like pretty much like a consistent, like just a little bit lower. And so this one might get an 80 or 79.
Okay. They're basically the same.
No, but I can see it. I feel like at this point we know what Eggers does.
Exactly.
And I don't know that he's surprising me in a way. I mean, Nosferatu visually absolutely was original and surprising and really cool. This movie, I think visually, my guess is it actually might look more like The Northman does.
Robert Eggers is very consistent. He's a filmmaker who cares most about the details and getting the details right and exploring a period with accuracy, not necessarily in leaving the audience with a strong message or like a deeper meaning. That's what he does. And he's going to do it again with Werewolf. I'm not sure it's a step up, and I would need to see him go a step up above Nosferatu for me to believe at this point that it's going to be a contender.
Yeah, maybe
it could be a contender. I think it's in my top 20.
Maybe he's one of those contenders like, you know, Kelly Reichardt or Sofia Coppola, where it's like, well, we know what they do. Like, I just don't necessarily have a reason to think that they're going to break out with this movie. It's just another movie from that director. It'll be exciting for their fans, and it'll probably stay in that lane. I do understand, though, that there's a bit of like an upward trend or an idea that he's getting closer, especially with the 4 nominations for Nosferatu, but I would actually rather just predict that this gets maybe like 2 crafts instead of 4. It could go either way, though, and it being a big focus features film is important to me.
Yeah.
But also, I look at an image of Aaron Taylor Johnson like howling in blood on the set, and I'm like, I just don't see it, guys. And I know horror is doing well. I'm actually not knocking it for the genre
it is
at
doing
all.
well.
I'm just not.
It's probably the most likely horror film to get in, right? You know, maybe then there's the Backrooms. Which actually, that's a good transition. I know it's funny to talk about the Backrooms, and I'm not going to put it in, but I think it's worth acknowledging that this might do really well at the box office, and that there are prestige elements here. Like, you could say the production design may be worthy of an Oscar nomination, or maybe
Visual effects, maybe.
I think people are going to be very excited about it. They're going to be excited about Kane Parsons as a filmmaker. Renata Reinsva's in it. Chiwetel Ejiofor's in it.
And apparently, there was actually recently, one of those test screening reports that it was quite well liked. And then it was actually like stylistically kind of interesting.
Well, why wouldn't you expect that though? Because
it's a first film.
Sure.
From a really young filmmaker who just made stuff on his computer alone.
Yeah, but those films have a lot. There's just so much thought put into them.
I know that they have artistic merit, but it still doesn't necessarily follow that it would translate to a compelling feature. But I'm really excited if that is the case.
I'll just put it out there that if the Backrooms got incredible critic reviews, we could be slowly starting to take it seriously. But I think it's a little bit far-fetched because also the Backrooms is kind of based on a concept that's not supposed to make sense and it's supposed to unsettle you in a deep way. A lot of the horror films that we've seen get in at the Oscars recently have pretty straightforward narratives. They're usually not like seeped and dripping in ambiguity.
I also think that there might be a hurdle in that it's viewed as this kind of like Gen Z internet horror type of concept, and they're making a movie based on, like a meme, essentially. I really don't think this is going to go that far, but I think it's fair to have it on your list if you're going to have as many movies as we do.
Do you think there's any other horror films that are worth looking at?
I mean, there are some horror movies I'm excited for. Like, apparently Obsession is really good. There's the Jane Schonbrun movie.
Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma from Jane Schonbrun. One of my most anticipated films of the year because we're TV Glow stands. We're just Jane Schonbrun fans. It's Mubi. And Mubi made the trailer look like it is for cinephiles only.
Like a specialty art house movie.
And I'm upset. I'm kind of upset about that because if you have a horror film, I don't care if it's the artsiest film you've put to screen, you need to market it like it's something that everyone's going to want to see to be scared of. And I think they've already put it into a box, and it seems like they're just not going to do quite enough good enough of a job to make it a breakout. This film is already it has so many hurdles to overcome in order to get even close. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
We just want to talk about it because we're excited.
It's going to be very bizarre, and I anticipate probably more divisive than TV Glow, which got like a lot of more people on board. This one, the crafts seem sick, but it seems absolutely like freaking bizarre.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited, and especially the prospect that it could show up at Cannes in some category.
Yeah, that would be the only
really
way.
exciting for me to see that there. And by the way, we're both going to Cannes this year. I have actually seen some people try to predict this as a breakout, though, and that's not happening. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Gillian Anderson is in this, and like she got a lot of awards for The Crown. So if you want to make any argument, maybe she's like a supporting thing. I'm so excited, but no.
Wildwood? Would you put Wildwood here? If any animated film breaks out, which is at this point, like,
we're not predicting any animated
stop.
films to break out.
This studio is strong. Maybe this will be their first winner. Maybe it gets visual effects or score. I'm just going to mention it and leave it at that. I'm not close, but
yeah, the animated films are a conversation in and of themselves if you wanted to do that. That's like its own category, though, because I'm not going to say any of those are real contenders for Best Picture. The Rivals of Mziah King belongs in this category.
Yeah.
But that is Black Bear Pictures.
They did Christie, which was not a strong showing for their first film.
Yeah.
That actually broke certain records regarding week-to-week drops.
I just think the revival at this point is far-fetched, and to be honest, even though I know a lot of people love this movie, if you look at the Letterboxd, it's not like a 4-point-something territory anymore.
Well, maybe it will be when it comes out.
Maybe, but this is just speculative at this point.
Look, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to predict it because I don't know what the deal with Black Bear is, and it's coming out in August, and that's not good. They're probably dumping it. But I still trust that, if I was in that theater at South by and I saw that, I'd probably have been convinced that it was an Oscar contender.
Yeah.
But you got to take into account the other factors. I don't think it's that the movie doesn't have the juice. I think it's just other circumstances are not working in its favor. They're not going for it. I don't know what the off chance is that it like randomly just, everybody's actually really interested in this movie all of a sudden and it does really well at the box office off of McConaughey. That'd be kind of bizarre, but I do look forward to seeing it finally.
Here's a fun one. The drama. Definitely fits this category. You got Robert Pattinson, Zendaya. This is pretty high profile. I mean, I think a lot of people that I've talked to that aren't necessarily into movies know what this is and are
it's
excited
challengers
about
at
it.
best, but sure.
I don't think it's going to be an Oscar contender ultimately.
Also,
I'm excited about it.
But like, there are some apparently bizarre twists in it that will throw people off. So they say. Or maybe they'll make people talk about it and it'll be positive for the movie.
I mean, it's the director of Dream scenario. If you've seen that, you know that like the filmmaker is pretty uncompromising. It makes me more excited for it. But this film might take you places. Like, it might surprise people and be twisty.
I'm very excited, actually. And I think Pattinson's going to be amazing in it.
So, but I mean, look, even if it is Challengers, like Challengers was top 15.
That's true. But I said it's Challengers at best. But then the Oscars gave it no nominations, not one.
October. This is a horror film, actually.
Is October.
Jeremy Saulnier, the director of Green Room. Most known for Green Room.
Oh, come on.
Also Blue Ruin.
That guy does movies all the time and none of them get nominated.
Well, they're all pretty critically acclaimed. I don't think this is any different, though. This is actually, like, I think a slasher movie.
Buddy, he did...
It's a fugitive thriller set during Halloween. So he's very good at making thrillers.
This filmmaker is interested in, like, thrills and gore. Like, it's not happening.
It's just worth being on the radar. And look, these films are often hard to call. So I'm just trying to, like, throw them all out there. You know what? You could put I Swear on this list.
Technically, you could.
What if Sony Pictures Classics gave Robert Aramayo a Best Actor campaign this year?
Here's the problem. It's coming out in April, and there's no reason to think that it's going to be a box office breakout, even though it was, a movie that made a lot of headlines recently. I don't think it's going to push it to be a surprise hit.
But maybe they could bring him back?
I think that's a little unlikely.
I think it's unlikely too. All right, let's move on to our next bucket, Cannes. The hard thing about this is that we don't really know what films are going to Cannes. I have a very long list of the films I expect to go to Cannes, and, we're going to be wrong about that. The way the past few years have been going, the rule is like 2 to 3 films from Cannes are going to get in. And we've been hesitant in the past to predict which films those are going to be because it's hard to call the international films. But I think last year we would have said sentimental value, no other choice. And look, we would have gotten one of them right. Here's the film I think we and many people agree is going to be a contender from Cannes. Fjord. This is from Christian Mungiu, who did 4 Months, 3 Weeks, 2 Days, and also did RMN, among other films, but RMN is his most recent film. He's a Romanian director. Why are we saying this one's going to be different? This is going to be his breakout. This one has Renata Reinsva and Sebastian Stan in the lead roles. That is huge. That's very important. And it's going to be in a mix of languages. I believe from what I'm reading, this is going to be mostly in English, but it's also going to be in Norwegian and Romanian. It's about a couple who immigrates to Norway, and I believe the reason it's in English is because the Romanian family can't speak Norwegian, so they just speak English. And like RMN, it seems, it is about the fear of the other, the fear of immigrants, the fear of outsiders. And Mungiu is quite a political filmmaker, and he makes films that are about social issues. And he often paints very austere portraits of society. So his films don't have musical score. They're quite somber often. Sometimes they're darkly comedic, and they're usually filmed in very long takes with lengthy dialogue. So he'll often shoot a scene in just one angle.
Also, Neon has it. I mean, Neon's had it for a while, and when you're looking for a Cannes hopeful, this is just easily, I think, the front runner. Due to the actors who are in it and the fact that they speak English, that people in America know them. It's a filmmaker who's consistent and acclaimed. Won the Palme before. He could be ready for the director nomination. The movie probably has to be one of the director's best works to get in. But given the themes and how much critics love these actors, it definitely could be.
It's a high probability that it's going to be ready for Cannes. Whereas a lot of these films, we don't know if they're going to actually premiere there or whether they're going to kick it to next year or kick it to Venice. Then we got All of the Sudden. This is from director Ryosuke Hamaguchi, who did Drive My Car, which of course went on to get Best International Feature win at the Oscars, along with director, screenplay, and picture. I think there's 2 leads here. One of them is going to probably be campaign supporting. You have Virginia Efira and Tao Okamoto.
Virginia Efira has been in stuff too.
She's in Benedetta. That's her main.
She's been showing up though. Like, And it's not like a household name or anything like that, but I think that's important. I think in the film there will be some French, some Japanese.
The film's about a nursing home director and a terminally ill Japanese playwright, and it seems like it's going to feature long conversations about life and death and what does a dignified death look like, all this kind of good stuff. Very deep subject matter. I mean, Hamaguchi's works are very philosophical, often asking deep questions, they're often existential, and can be very deeply moving. Drive My Car was by no means a film that made sense to get into the Oscar race, especially back then before international features became a staple of the category, but it did so because people connected deeply with it, and it was many people's favorite film of the year. I mean, that film's like a 3-hour talky drama, but it's not like he's just making Drive My Car after Drive My Car. It would make sense if Drive My Car was the only Oscar film that he's ever directed, because of the kinds of films he likes to do. Evil Does Not Exist was not even close to being an Oscar movie.
It was a 90-minute movie, too. I mean, this one is going to be similar to the length of Drive My Car from rumors. This one's going to be in the Cannes competition, whereas Evil Does Not Exist was at Berlin. And this is also, Neon picks it up, a couple months out. That's also a huge sign. I think it does help that it's a little more like European. I hate to say it.
I think there is a European bias towards international films.
I also would have said, look, Hamaguchi, that was maybe a once-in-his-career thing, but I'm kind of looking at this movie and I'm going, this is going to be one of the most acclaimed movies of the festival. I think that's pretty easy to predict. And then you can say that these two lead actresses are going to be giving amazing performances. And they could split the Best Actress prize. I may put this as the second Neon Cannes film in the top 10. I mean, maybe we're a little too eager to do that because Neon got 2 films in last year and we think they're going to do the same this year or whatever. But maybe they could. I mean, I think it's a good bet.
Just because he got a film in before doesn't mean his sensibilities align with general Academy tastes.
Yeah, but they do, apparently.
They did in like a weird synergy that happened with Drive My Car, but I think that was unusual.
This one might be more accessible.
But here's the thing, even if Drive My Car only won international feature and didn't get a Best Picture nomination, I'd probably feel similarly about this film, that, you know what, this looks like it could be poised to break out. If Fjord is one of the Cannes movies and it's in English, you're still looking for that film which could win international feature. Yeah. Because whatever film's winning international feature at the Oscars, I think, is getting nominated at this point.
Now, Jack of Spades, not an international film, but likely going to Cannes. Joel Coen, he did The Tragedy of Macbeth, and that was a really impressive film. I mean, it didn't get in because it was just, too straightforwardly like a Shakespeare thing. I think the Academy's maybe looking for something a little more original, and they are getting that here. This is an original gothic horror mystery. It's not based on anything. This is going to be one of the strongest films in the craft categories, I would predict. Maybe it only gets like 2 or whatever, but it will have stunning cinematography from Bruno Delbonnel, branch favorite. I would highly recommend you predict that at the very least for this film, cinematography.
Yeah. No, I think this film, there are some crafts that it could easily get in, and I think the second most likely one is costumes for being a gothic period film.
Production design, score, Carter Burwell. I mean,
right.
There are prospects. Josh O'Connor is in it, Leslie Manville, and Frances McDormand. Maybe one of them will be contending. And the big red flag is gothic mystery. It's not even just that it's a mystery, it's that it's a gothic mystery. I just have a hard time seeing it. You could say thrillers have trouble, mysteries have more trouble.
And as acclaimed and influential as the Coen brothers are, they're not consistent with their awards track record.
They kind of are.
No, they're not.
They kind of are.
No, they're not.
They kind of are. Macbeth got 3 noms. Buster Scruggs got 3 noms. Hail Caesar got 1. Inside Llewyn Davis got 2. True Grit was Best Picture. Serious Man was Best Picture.
Well, then they're on a roll.
No Country for Old Men.
That's when they were on a roll. But
sure,
you just named the last 4 films that he directed were not in Best Picture. So yes, like I said, I believe this would get a nomination somewhere, cinematography most likely, but I'm not sure it would get a Best Picture because, sometimes the Coen brothers just like to have a little bit of fun. And you don't really know what they're going to do.
Ethan Coen's the one who's a little sillier. Joel Coen's
we
probably the serious one. It seems like
I'm sure that's funny. What people are thinking, but maybe this is also like, hey, I'm just trying to play in this genre for a little bit.
But you do have to admit, though, Joel Coen making a movie, that's like one of the biggest filmmakers that's doing it this year. That is one of the big Oscar prestige packages. It's a period movie from Joel freaking Coen. It doesn't have distribution, though. So we don't know exactly what the strategy looks like, who's going to get it, how it's being positioned. So I would have it out just because of the genre. But I am tempted.
I'm worried about
otherwise.
I also just feel like the cast doesn't do that much for me. Like, Frances McDormand, okay, you're there because that's your wife. Josh O'Connor, He's just kind of in everything, and I'm like failing to be impressed with what he's doing lately because he's kind of the same in all his movies.
That's the hottest take.
It's a hot take.
You'll
I'm
get
so
killed
sorry
for saying that, man. You're gonna get killed.
I still think I'm right about it.
You liked him in Challengers a lot.
Yeah, but was he that much different in Challengers than other movies? Like, do I get excited about seeing Josh O'Connor in a movie? I'm like, okay, he's in it. Like, I know people feel differently. Sorry. I know a lot of people are anticipating the entertainment system is down to go to Cannes, and I'm really excited about this film. It definitely strikes me as like an awards prospect. This is from Ruben Östlund, who just did Triangle of Sadness. This is about a passenger flight where the entertainment system does not work, and so the passengers are confronted with their own boredom. And as you may have guessed, it's a dark comedy.
It has an ensemble cast.
This film might not come out this year.
Yeah, I'm troubled by that.
There's a rumor that it's not coming out. Ruben Östlund himself has said he's not sure if this will make this or next Cannes Film Festival. And since then, the rumor has been that it's actually not going to go. So I'm not going to predict it. If it was going, I'm not sure I would predict it. Fortunately, I'm going to predict this comes out next year.
Minotaur from Andrei Zvyagintsev, one of the most exciting filmmakers, I think. The signs are pointing that this is another Andrei Zvyagintsev film. In a similar way that, like, I'm not going to randomly predict About Dry Grasses because Nuri Bilge-Ceylan's movies are just not close to the Oscars, and I have no reason to think that this one will be. Like, the cast is all Russian actors that I don't know, and that's that. I'm excited for it. If it does go to Cannes, I will be pumped to see it. A Oscar breakout is just kind of a long shot.
But his films usually get really good scores. So
Yeah,
it makes you
one
wonder
of
if,
them
like,
got nominated for international.
well, what if one of them wins the Palm? Then suddenly all bets are off, and you're
Sure.
like, oh, predicting it and
Sure.
stuff.
I'd say the same for Kauthar Ben-Hanya's movie.
Yeah.
We don't know if she's going to go to Cannes or Venice, but Four Daughters was in competition. She directed Four Daughters. She directed The Voice of Hindu Rajab. The last three films have all been nominated for one Oscar. So she just gets in there one way or another, it seems. Her film's called Mimesis. Again, it is an issue, I think we have to say, that there are no recognizable cast members. I mean, even it was just an accident, won the Palm, and I think what you have to say is a lot of normal average moviegoers still didn't know Panahi, didn't know anybody in the cast, didn't feel that they had a reason to check the movie out, unfortunately.
I think this is a good bet for an international feature prediction because her track records, like her last three films, have been nominated for either international or documentary. And this story is in the 1990s, takes place in Tunisia. It has a meta angle where there's like a film being made within the story. It seems to be about some kind of cult and also about, again, Islam and possibly extremism. I'm hoping that she's going to be at Cannes this year. Definitely on the radar.
There's also a new one from Hirokazu Koreeda. People try to predict his movies every year, and I would just need to see something that sparks a reason to think that it's going to be different from how the other ones go down. I mean, Monster, Shoplifters, Broker, like they're all acclaimed movies. Some very, very acclaimed. But they just don't get in. I don't know what else you want to say. Like,
yeah, they just don't break out. Like, there just isn't usually a lot of attention in the mainstream around his work. This film will be Sheep in the Box. He's also making another film, but I don't think that one's going to be at Cannes. I think that's like a more low-key film.
It's about a married couple who welcome a humanoid robot into their home as their son. So it's about a robot boy.
It's going to be a tender sci-fi drama.
I'll be excited to watch the new Koreeda at Cannes.
It's the kind of film, though, where I would need to see it win the Palm to predict it. So you got On Land and Sea from Hilnir Palmason. This is the Icelandic filmmaker behind The Love That Remains and Godland. He's a really fascinating filmmaker. I don't know if this will go to Cannes. I think it will. I think it's done shooting. And I think this one's going to be a little more ambitious than The Love That Remains because that was more like a sidebar film for him. Godland, on the other hand, was like a big period drama. It's also a period film, so it's about the life of a family which at the turn of the 19th century transforms its house into a raft and goes looking for a new place to live. So it feels like it will be more like Godland, and all of his films do this, where it highlights the elements and nature like it's Iceland. It's going to be some beautiful cinematography, potentially some beautiful production design. So maybe this is like a stealth palm contender.
Oscar Ferrati has a film, Parallel Tales. It will cover the 2015 Paris terrorist attacks. Seems definitely like a step in a different direction for him. Kind of a bigger scope. Seems like it's going to have a lot of characters and parallel storylines, as the title promises. Probably very much an ensemble film, and I think that it's going to take place from a lot of different perspectives. There's probably not going to be a lead, so, you know, if you're predicting Isabelle Huppert to get nominated for lead, there's probably no lead.
It's also in French, which is different because he's usually making films from Iran.
But his film Everybody Knows had Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem, and that was considered his weakest film.
That was a Spanish language film.
And then you had A Hero. People have been trying to see if maybe he gets into the Oscar race for a bit because A Separation was excellent and it won international, got a screenplay nomination, was probably pretty close with the parallel stories thing going on. I'm just not seeing it. I don't really know what's going on with Ferrati anymore.
Top tier French actors here. Vincent Cassel, Virginie Efira, Isabelle Huppert. I do agree that I'm not getting like the sense that this is going to be one of his most acclaimed films.
Also, like, what are you going to say about it? What are you going to say about the ISIS attacks? I don't know. Paper Tiger from James Gray. That's definitely a Cannes possibility.
We're not sure if it's going. I mean, James Gray's films haven't been contenders before at all.
I mean, he literally made Armageddon Time, which was his Fabelmans, his Belfast. Nobody really paid attention. I would not go out on a limb and predict the James Gray film. His films always have great casts, and this one's no different. It's got Adam Driver, Miles Teller, Scarlett Johansson.
It's about a gangster Russian mafia terrorizing a family.
I'm just not going to predict.
Yeah, I'm not going to predict that
James Gray movie, but I'm excited for it. I like him.
I mean, you got Almodovar's film Bitter Christmas, but I don't think this is like a major Almodovar film. It seems kind of like a minor work, and there's already a trailer. Some of his films have huge actors in them. This one doesn't have anyone that I would personally recognize. I just don't think it's going to be huge. Butterfly Jam is the director of Beanpole, and this one also is like transitioning to English language. It's about a teenager who wants to be a wrestler as his parents struggle with their ethnic diner.
It's kind of a coming-of-age film. And it takes place in, like, New Jersey, of all places. Jomo Frey is doing the cinematography. That's kind of sick.
Beanpole was a beautifully crafted film. The production design and cinematography were pretty stunning, and a lot of that film was filmed with long takes. This is a very young director, and he really surprised people with how mature Beanpole was, how much of a grasp he seemed to have as a director and a unique vision. So I'm really looking forward to this one, but the director's also young enough that it's hard to tell whether, every film of his is going to hit.
Riley Keough is also in Out of This World from Albert Serra, who did Pacifiction, and also Afternoons of Solitude, which was a documentary about bullfighting that some critics really took to. And his films get kind of mixed reviews. I mean, he definitely has his fans among critics.
He has a very slow and experimental style.
His films are long as fuck, too.
And they're long as fuck, and apparently 800 hours of footage was shot for this film. So the weird thing is that it seems different than his other film.
It's about an American delegation who travels to Russia in the midst of the Ukrainian war to try to find a solution to an economic dispute linked to sanctions, and explores the eternal rivalry between Russia and the USA. It also has F. Murray Abraham in it, to be fair.
Yeah, so it's a political drama. It's about diplomacy. The first image from it is weirdly like Riley Keough looking like she's in a circus. I don't understand that. It does sound interesting and I'm excited for it, but it's just I don't know enough about this to predict it.
Also, Albert Serra's movies seem like they throw some people like way off. Riley Keough probably will get a lot of acclaim.
There's a film called The Beloved, which Javier Bardem will star in. I'm not sure if this will be in Cannes competition or not, or even if it would go to Venice. It kind of seems like it might, but this is the director of The Beasts, which is a very acclaimed film from a few years ago. Rodrigo Sorogoyen. It's kind of got a sentimental value-like plot where a film director is confronting his daughter and their past relationship. I think this could be a Best Actor contender, because Javier Bardem's in it. But there's an element of familiarity, again, with sentimental value that kind of puts me off. Like, okay, well, why is this film going to be different or what's going to be interesting? It seems like it'll be very personal. That is on my radar. I actually have it predicted an international feature right now.
Really? I don't.
Javier Bardem's in it.
Okay, cool.
And it's probably going to be acclaimed. Okay, what else do you need to know?
Coward from Lucas Dunt. This is actually, I think, one of the more likely possibilities.
Maybe.
It's a World War I drama.
It's the director of Close, which was nominated for Best International Feature.
And by the way, Close, gorgeously shot, beautifully acted. You have the prestige period elements here. World War I drama about soldiers in the trenches, and it's going to be very intimate. No recognizable names here. The director is very young. He's not exactly like one of these overdue auteurs. But, there is something here. I mean, All Quiet on the Western Front was in because it was just like, yeah, we like the war films where they're really technically well done. You can nominate everything from it.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if this is going to be quite the spectacle that film was. You got Hope from Na Hon Jin. Most of his films are generally acclaimed thrillers.
Action movies.
Very stylized action films. Michael Fassbender's in this one, but other than that, it does look like it's a Korean film, and it's kind of a horror thriller. So it looks like it might be interesting, and people are fans of his, so they're kind of like trying to pipe up this film and, you know, maybe put that into some categories, but it's a little hard for me to buy that like a horror action film would be a contender.
I definitely think that people who are predicting this one to be like the international film are a little bit high.
No. Yeah, I think it's a little far-fetched. Now, I really want to talk about 1949. This is a film from Powell Pawlikowski, the director of Cold War and Ida. Cold War got director, cinematography, and international film. Ida got best cinematography and international film, and Ida was your best international film winner. This director is highly ambitious. He loves to shoot his films in black and white. From what I'm reading, this will also be shot in black and white, and I believe this is kind of Oscar bait. This director is very ambitious, and I think he'll get nominated for cinematography and production design potentially.
It's also a biopic about Thomas Mann. Thomas Mann was a writer, essayist, and an opponent of the Nazi regime.
It's about Thomas Mann and his family's post-war German life and his family's stand against the Nazi rule and their journey into exile. So, look, I would have this film in my top 10. If I knew it was coming out this year.
That seems like a really interesting and, potentially awards territory film. Sandra Hüller, previous nominee, there'll be interest there, and I'm sure she'll be amazing because she just always is.
The actor playing Thomas Mann, Hans Gischler, was in Munich, and he's not
prominent.
super well known, but like there's a chance that he could be a best actor player there. If it goes to Cannes, I'm gonna predict it. I'm gonna predict that this gets in to the Oscars Best Picture race, and that it gets Best Director, Cinematography, Production Design, a bunch of nominations. But I have seen sources reporting on the film's production, and then they say it's coming out in 2027. That seems to be the most reliable indicator we have.
There's also a Mike Leigh film. It's in the works. We don't know if they'll reject him like they did with Hard Truths. I think that the problem here with this one is just that I don't know the actors. I mean, Mike Leigh would get in off of his actors being contenders, and we don't have like a lot of famous British people in it, and that's normally what he does have.
You have Her Private Hell from Nicholas Winding Refn. I think he's not going to make an Oscar movie. His sensibilities are just too far off base, and this is a crime mystery thriller. It's exciting, though. Diego Calva, Sophie Thatcher, Charles Melton are all in it, and I believe Neon has this, so...
And then there's The Unknown from Arthur Harari, who won an Oscar for co-writing Anatomy of a Fall with his wife, Justine Triet, who's also co-writing this film. Gee, it kind of sounds like a Brady Corbet, Mona Fastfold type of relationship here, doesn't it? Arthur Harari's last film was Onoda, 10,000 Nights in the Jungle, which looks like a really ambitious and well-shot film, and it was critically acclaimed at Cannes a couple of years ago.
I think this one's very likely to go to Cannes, and it's got a quite interesting concept. It seems like a realistic take on the body swap genre. It's about a young man who follows an alluring woman and then wakes up inside of her body, possibly done with a little bit of a gritty lens. Now, the lead in this film is Lea Seydoux. So, of course, this would go to Cannes. And so she gets to play somebody who is inside of her own body, which is an interesting role for her. Maybe if this was a contender, you'd see her get Best Actress hype. It does seem pretty strange. It's a little bit out there. It's kind of hard to predict, but it seems like it'll be one of the more fun and interesting films that comes out at Cannes this year.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it.
If it was in competition, that'd be a great sign, too. It might be. It's also Neon.
Yeah, and of course, we have to remember that Neon will pick up other films at the festival. They might come in with a film that becomes an Oscar contender, but they might leave with all of the Oscar contenders like they did last year. So
yeah, them and Mubi will have a little war. And look how it went last year. I mean, Neon, all the major films that they had at Cannes got a nomination outside of international feature and including international. And what did Mubi's films do? Jack shit, unfortunately. Jack shit.
The Way of the Wind, I mean, we should talk about it as a Cannes, in the Cannes context.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to be there.
Now, The Way of the Wind, this is Terrence Malick's latest film. He's been editing it for like 7 years, and it's about the life and death of Jesus Christ. And we don't really know anything else about it. And he is still editing it. We had this on our list like last year, maybe even the year before. I'm not even hopeful at this point that it comes out at Cannes. I was feeling hopeful before, but like there's been no signs of that it's going to do it. And it seems like Malick might even be going out on this one, as in he might not make another film after this. And so maybe he just wants it to be perfect. If it doesn't release in the Cannes lineup this year, then we can just hope that it comes out next year. But oh my God, like you gotta be done with it. You gotta put something out there, man.
I'll wait as long as it takes, as long as it's fucking good.
The next category is the Oscar prestige juggernauts that are like obviously contending for Oscars. Like, they want a lot of nominations. They have big name directors with great track records. So what are those films?
Well, The Odyssey overlaps here as well, but we did talk about that already.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about films we already talked about. Now, I'm seeing here, my number one film on this list is Cry to Heaven from Tom Ford. Is this guaranteed to come out this year? No, but
they're trying.
By all reports, they're trying to make it happen by the end of this year. I don't even know if it would be ready for fall. So,
it should be ready for Venice. If they can't make Venice, they're not going to do it. All I can say is that I've been convinced that if this movie comes out this year, it's in. Can't be so confident about a movie that we haven't seen. And many would say you can't be so confident about a film from a director who has not gotten in before. But listen, he has a great track record. Nocturnal Animals and A Single Man, they were both nominated for acting awards, by the way. And this film is just one of the most Oscar bait films. It's in the 18th century.
This film is about a phenomenon in the 18th century called the castrato. These are male singers who were castrated before they went through puberty, so before their voices changed. And these men were trained to be singers and sing in very high falsetto voices. It's kind of a sickening practice, and this is based on a novel which explores that practice and the impact it had on its victims. So there are two castrato that this film follows. There's one that was castrated from a very young age, and then he became silent. He could no longer sing, and that castrato becomes the instructor and mentor for a castrato who was castrated at a very late age, relatively, by I think his uncle. So Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor Johnson are playing one of those two roles each, most likely. We haven't had confirmation on the casting, but that's what I'm gathering. So one of them will be silent, but the other one will actually have a high voice like a child. And I'm not sure how they're going to do that. My guess is that they're going to have of another voice actor just doing the voice.
No, I don't think so.
But because it's going to be really hard to replicate that.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that they're going to ADR the entire performance and that's not going to go well with awards voters also.
I just don't know how they're going to do it, to be honest. If the actor playing the lead role can actually make their voice that much higher and sound like a child, then they'll absolutely get nominated for an Oscar. That's all I gotta say.
Here's my prediction. Nicholas Hoult will do a little bit of a higher voice, but it's not going to be actually accurate. You don't know if it's child.
You don't know if it's Nicholas Hoult.
That's what I believe it is.
You don't
I've looked it up enough, and that's what people think.
I think they're going to want it to be accurate, though.
Or they could digitally manipulate it a little bit.
Regardless, I think you also have a potential supporting nomination for Kieran Hines.
He's just in it. I don't know.
No, he might be the bad guy who castrated.
Well, fuck it. Maybe Adele's nominated. Who knows?
Adele does play an opera singer here. I don't think she's in a nomination role, but
no one knows. All I'll say is this. People say that the novel is gorgeous and you really feel deeply for these characters. It's extremely Oscar bait. That's all I can say. Yeah. I'm imagining that it's easy for costumes, production design, sound, score, cinematography. A lot of the crew worked on Nocturnal Animals and got BAFTA nominations for it. His films are really well crafted, and you could see him doing an 1800s film in Italy, in Venice. Is it Venice?
Yep.
It's going to be fucking beautiful. And the lead performances, both of them, are going to be insane. It's going to be really well acted and really well crafted. And it's a subject that I think is just interesting, that people will want to watch the movie. It'll be one of the big Oscar bait.
It seems very sad, though. The film does seem very sad.
It for sure will.
It's kind of about revenge as well. But I agree. It just has a lot of prestige going for it. And if they finish it by the end of this year, my prediction is it's going to be a big Oscar contender. Also, Tom Ford has apparently said he wants to go all in on making films. It's been his side career for a long time, which is insane to think about in the first place.
That's one of the most insane side hustles.
Jesse Eisenberg's film.
You say this is a juggernaut?
What else is it? Oscar hopeful?
I guess at this point it is a juggernaut. I mean, you have Julianne Moore, lead actress, Paul Giamatti, supporting actor for playing a local musical instructor. Julianne Moore going through a midlife crisis, trying out musical theater at her local troupe.
Is it a musical at all?
It's just about people who are in a musical.
You could easily see this film contending for lead actress, especially supporting actor, with Giamatti being a theater instructor, and then people saying let's give him the Oscar. Let's just give it to him.
That's my prediction.
And then seeing an original screenplay nomination for Jesse Eisenberg again, because The Real Pain was so well written.
It sounds just great and wonderful. Also, Drew Daniels is doing the cinematography, who did Anora. And the score is being done by Emile Osseri, who did the score for Minari. And I heard that that is an upgrade in the film.
Honestly, I do have this film in because I think it's just too good to be true that Giamatti is like a theater director and he has like a noisy big role and that he could win a supporting actor Oscar. And if that's going to happen and Julianne Moore is going to come along.
If you have 2 nominations and a screenplay, I think you're just going to get in. Apparently, Jesse Eisenberg did write original songs that make up the musical that they're doing, but it might not showcase those songs in a very showy way. I don't know if he's trying to show off like his songwriting chops here.
I like that Jesse Eisenberg seems to be climbing a ladder and this is his most ambitious film. I think that's how you get the attention of the awards voters. On top of the fact that when he was on the awards circuit for his last film, people really fell in love with the guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pick an A24 movie, I think that's definitely one of the top ones. It'll have a good Fall Fest run as well.
All right, I got a good one for you. Digger.
Obviously.
From Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu. Now, his last film was Bardo, which was considered bizarre, pretentious, maybe that it went off the rails or was like too heavy-handed, but you got to give it to him. He's always ambitious with his films. He's got a pretty consistent track record still.
But I think a lot of people were maybe a little harsh on Bardo. Like, I think that they were like, oh, it's trying so hard, but that movie was trying to say something. It was hard to digest for people, but that's okay. It's okay, guys.
I really like Bardo. I don't think it's a great film.
Yeah.
I think there were some elements that were like, okay, that's just way too over the top.
But you can't judge this movie on Bardo. This
No, I
is
don't think this is
obviously
gonna be
like
like
this
that.
is a huge like American all-star cast. He's back with Lubezki. This is Oscar bait. This is one of the biggest Oscar bait films of the year. Everyone knows it.
It's also Warner Bros. I mean, Warner Bros. Has a lot of films this year.
This is a big budget movie too. And
yeah, it's got like an 100 to 150 million budget. Look, Tom Cruise is in the lead role here. He is in makeup. He is doing a Southern voice, like a Southern old man voice.
Isn't he playing an 80-year-old?
He's playing an 80-year-old. It's going to get a makeup nomination. If there's one thing I can guarantee to you, it's that Digger is getting a makeup nomination.
It's Kazuhiro doing the makeup.
I would say it's also likely to get a nomination for a supporting actor for John Goodman, who is said to have a very big role here. And now I'm mostly hearing intel from test screening reactions floating out there. Again, I'm tempering the test screening reactions with what I already thought about this movie. My initial impression of this film is that this is going to be a little bit divisive, a little messy. And I actually think this is kind of being confirmed by the reactions, like that some people think it's a little messy, but also I've heard that the test screening was done in a pretty early, like in a stage that was early enough that that they don't have a musical score. They're not sure if they're going to cut like 30 minutes from it. I've actually heard kind of mixed things about it, but I'm still going to have this in because I can't trust test screening reactions too much. And because Tom Cruise being in lead actor here seems way too good, like way too juicy. That has to happen. You know, even if you have Tom Cruise, John Goodman, and makeup in there, if I can see all those nominations, then I can see a Best Picture coming along.
Well, it depends. Does the Academy eat it up? Because it sounds also like it's maybe like a Don't Look Up type of movie.
I've heard it compared to Don't Look Up, Triangle of Sadness.
A critique of the wealthy, a critique of capitalism.
A film that's very deep in its ambitions. It's also about like death, and a lot of Iñárritu's films are about death.
But some of these satires on the wealthy, critics are kind of turning against, and they're like, oh, like you're trying too hard, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely. Look, I think a lot of the dark comedies have that problem.
But some of them do well at the Oscars anyway, because these things tick critics off for some reason, but other people don't really care. I think that Iñárritu is just a filmmaker that everybody in Hollywood is looking to what he's doing. It has a huge all-star cast, performances you can nominate, possibly a lot of tech nominations as well.
It kind of sounds like it's if Iñárritu directed an Adam McKay film, though. It makes me worry a little bit. I don't think the critic reviews are going to be squeaky clean on this one.
And that's okay.
I think people might try to come after Iñárritu for being maybe too heavy-handed.
I mean, even Babel didn't have the best reviews.
The Revenant didn't, but I got a ton of nominations. I mean,
I think it can get in and be a mixed review movie.
Yes, that's the thing. If I can see this getting in and having mixed reviews, I should have it in. I think that means there's a level of resiliency here. What really could bring it down too, though, in addition to the critics, is the box office. I know Tom Cruise is in it, but this is said to be like a Talking in Rooms movie, actually, which is kind of surprising for Iñárritu. There's apparently like visual effects in it, but it also doesn't really have any action scenes. It's not going to be an audience hit. Generally, I would emphasize that the screening reactions are mostly positive, and that probably it's going to have big fans And then people who are pretty big detractors. Get ready for Digger. I'm gonna still have it in. I don't want to like take a chance and say that this mega prestige film is not going to get anything.
Yeah, Wild Horse 9, Martin
Wild Horse
McDonagh.
9, yeah.
Look, 3 Billboards, Banshees, types of contenders, loads of acting nominations. Screenplay was runner-up for those films. Martin McDonagh nominated for director for the last one. This one is, like Banshees, a period film. It's about 2 CIA agents who are on a mission from Santiago to Easter Island during 1973 Chile. So it has some politics that I think critics are going to be able to get a little bit more out of, read a little deeper into. It's got an all-star cast. It's got Sam Rockwell, Steve Buscemi, Parker Posey, John Malkovich, Tom Waits. Sam Rockwell, John Malkovich is a co-lead situation, and we do not know what they will do about that. Who will be in supporting, who will be in lead. My guess is Malkovich is the veteran actor. He will be in lead.
I've
and
heard
Rockwell will be frauded to supporting, and we'll have to see if Steve Buscemi can also compete there.
Yeah, that's my prediction for it as well. I've heard a rumor that Malkovich is the more showy role.
This is also, by all indications, Searchlight's main horse this year, and so there's a lot of reasons to predict Wild Horse 9.
Acting nominations, screenplay. McDonagh's been really on his game lately, so you'd kind of be surprised if he fell off deeply enough to not see any Oscar nominations.
Yeah, there's not really a good reason to doubt this movie at this point. There's just not. The Social Reckoning.
Yeah, Social Reckoning.
Aaron Sorkin, Chicago 7, nominated for Best Picture. Being the Ricardos, nominated for 3 acting awards. And Molly's Game, nominated for Screenplay. All of his films have had some level of success with the Oscars. People are getting kind of tired of Aaron Sorkin.
As a writer, people feel like his dialogue is not as new and they're not as excited about it anymore. Because it has a ring to it that I think people were really enamored with initially, but then now there's been a lot of imitation of his style. And I think people are getting a little bored of that. Also, as a director, I don't think he's been doing himself that many favors from stepping into the director's chair, because his most acclaimed films are ones where he's let somebody else take the helm, like Danny Boyle or David Fincher.
Bennett Miller.
It's not a great sign that he's directing it.
But
he's
it's not necessarily
a great
bad with the Academy. I think if you go to LA and you talk to people, they're like, oh, like Aaron Sorkin's great. Like every actor wants to work with Aaron Sorkin. Like I'm sure that's what you hear if you go.
Well, maybe they want his script, but maybe they don't necessarily want him as a director.
I'm saying that even if critics are a little hard on him, it's still possible that the movie is resonating with audiences in the Academy.
Not really.
Of course
I think
is.
maybe it could stay into screenplay and acting, but if it didn't resonate with critics, it wouldn't get a Best Picture nomination.
Depends what audiences think.
You're trying to live up to The Social Network, a film that got like a 95 on Metacritic.
This movie's about a completely different thing. It's
not
happens
about a
to also
completely
involve Mark Zuckerberg.
It's not about a completely different thing. It's a spiritual sequel.
It's about Francis Hagen, who is a Facebook engineer who was a whistleblower with the help of Jeff Horowitz, a journalist, who basically reported that Facebook was prioritizing profit over the well-being of its users. So look, the main thing that you have here is Mikey Madison's big role following Honora. She's leading a Sorkin film. She's going to be delivering his crackling dialogue. She'll be fierce. She is a big Best Actress contender for this movie. They would love to give her a follow-up nomination and see her talents continue. You also have Jeremy Allen White. Jeremy Strong is playing Mark Zuckerberg. Maybe one of those two is supporting. Wumi Busaku is in it. And you have a whole other, like, big ensemble of actors here.
I just know it won't be like that critically acclaimed.
I think that it could easily get like a mid 70 on Metacritic.
Low 70 and would maybe. It be enough?
As long as it's more than what Ricardo's got.
I mean, Chicago 7 did do well at the Oscars. It was acclaimed. Also a pandemic year. Maybe people would have been like, oh.
Absolutely not. That would have gotten in anyway.
Really?
Consider that Ricardo's had like a 60 on Metacritic and it was fucking close. And people were predicting that to get in.
Ricardo's did get scarily close. That's true.
I mean, Ricardo's came out really late, and so people didn't have as much time to turn on it. But this movie's big. Like, it's coming out in October. It's Sony. Sony's not like a no-brainer. It's kind of a spiritual sequel Social Network thing, but I think it's actually maybe a benefit that Jeremy Strong is playing Mark Zuckerberg and not Jesse Eisenberg, so people kind of view them as being different movies, different performances. It's not the same cinematic universe type thing. It's just a movie about a whistleblower. That's what it's about, more so than like, this is the sequel to The Social Network.
Well, you know, the Academy does like films about journalism, don't they? It's one of those Oscar bait categories.
No, but those movies have died too.
A little bit, yeah, you're right.
There have been a lot of attempts.
It was like
at the
Spotlight, The Post, And then there was
The report fucked up, and there was She Said.
I'm saying, is the bar lower for journalism films? Oh, She Said, yeah. I do believe in Mikey Madison here. That's the thing. Like, I'm going to have her in Best Actress somewhere.
There also might be other actors in contention. And I think it's an interesting subject to tackle social media companies' responsibility towards the well-being of their users and how these algorithms are harming people. It could be a relevant film. I'm a little uncertain on whether to put it in, because I do agree that people are a little bit tired of Aaron Sorkin, and it does seem that when he doesn't get into Best Picture, he does miss screenplay, like Steve Jobs and Being the Ricardos. He missed for both of those. So we'll see what happens with it, but it's definitely one to look out for. Big one.
Now we got Being Human from Apple.
Sean Hayter.
Yeah.
Director of Coda. Follow-up to Coda. The Best Picture winner. And she is making an Oscar bait film.
Oscar bait these days, though, I feel like really goes both directions. Like, if you're called Oscar bait, it's like usually a bad thing, and I think the Academy and generally overall taste for films has moved away from Oscar bait. Like, it's like, oh, we don't want to make a film that just feels like it was made to get awards. Fuck that movie. Like Nuremberg, for example. It's like good Oscar bait, but we don't care. This might be that kind of Oscar bait where it's like, we can see that you're trying really hard, good for you, but not interested. This is about 1977. Judy Heumann, who leads over 100 disabled people to take over the San Francisco Federal Building, kicking off a 28-day sit-in. So it's civil rights movement for disability advocacy, and the lead role is Ruth Madeley, who is a disabled person in real life. And that's, it's the kind of thing where it's like, that's good progressive casting. That's what people have been asking for. And then you have Mark Ruffalo in a supporting role, as well as Dylan O'Brien. That's like the extent of the cast. It's not sprawling.
I mean, look, Mark Ruffalo in a supporting role.
You're going to have a lot of disabled actors. This could get a casting nomination, couldn't it?
Sure. And it could get a Best Actress nomination and a Supporting Actor nomination. Maybe costumes, because it's in the 70s.
Coda was so visually flat.
Well, I have great news for you. The cinematographer is Jamie Ramsey, who did Living and All of Us Strangers. Yeah, great news.
That's good
Great news. This is like a classic Oscar bait movie. It'll probably be, if Coda's anything to go off of, really feel good. Really hitting you in the gut. Very much a tearjerker.
Yeah.
And this could take TIFF by storm. This is looking to, like Rental Family, it's being positioned well in TIFF, where if you didn't rank, I'd be seriously sus of you. Remember the movie Suffragette, where it kind of seemed like Oscar bait, but then people just didn't want much to do with it. They thought it was all right. It could be like that. But there hasn't really been a big Hollywood movie about like disability activism that I can remember. So in that way, it does feel kind of fresh.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Cliff Booth.
This counts like because you got fucking Tarantino writing it, Brad Pitt's in it, David Fincher's directing it. But I don't think so.
I'm not feeling Cliff Booth.
There's a trailer. And the trailer looked like, okay, this is like B-roll. This is like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood B-roll. And I was like, I don't really care. I'm not really excited. And the internet was also very not excited.
They were very critical of the lighting because, predictably, in contrast to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it looks way less vibrant and it's very darkly lit, but maybe it works for the story they're telling here.
But it kind of made people question, like, okay, Fincher, you're directing a Tarantino film, but you're making it with your Fincher aesthetic. Like, why are you serving the story? And I agree with that. I don't like when directors
Tarantino,
are so bound to their style that they're like inflexible.
Tarantino picked Fincher, though. You're a sequel, a very direct sequel. Like, you're not going to nominate Brad Pitt for lead for the performance he already won an Oscar for.
It's called The Adventures of Cliff Booth. What does that tell you about the movie?
It's content.
It sounds like content.
Unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Like, I get that Fincher directing a movie and Tarantino writing it
seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Why is there a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
It's a weird side quest. And like, why didn't, Tarantino direct it if he thought it was so good? Well, because he probably didn't think it was like amazing.
He's being very choosy about what his last film will be. Debicki could be an interesting prospect, though. She'll probably be a standout, and she wasn't in the first, so that's good for her to be nominated. But ultimately, I just kind of have a hard time seeing the full package happen here. Ink. Danny Boyle has a film, and it is awards tipped, I would say. It's kind of a news drama. It's a little bit maybe similar to those journalist dramas that we're talking about that don't always do too well anymore, but that kind of had a heyday. Jack O'Connell is in the lead role. He plays Larry Lamb, who meets Rupert Murdoch, very influential media mogul, big personality, played by Guy Pearce. This is where I think the entry point for the film is Guy Pearce, supporting actor. It's based on a play, and the play did win some awards for the actor who played this role. Sometimes campaigned in the lead actor, sometimes campaigned as a featured role, which is their supporting actor. So it could be campaigned either way, but that's kind of the Oscar bait role here that I'm seeing. Danny Boyle, great filmmaker, sort of hit or miss when it comes to the Academy. I mean, he hasn't gotten in since 127 Hours.
Steve Jobs was close, though. I mean, that got 2 acting nominations.
An explosive cinematic roller coaster is the tagline. So I think it'll be very high energy.
The movie is also prescient. It's tackling the matters of media and how did we get to the media that we have today, where I think it's going to be examining his sort of takeover in the media space, how he became an oligarch. I think it'll be very critical of him. There's definitely something there. I feel like this could be like a Snowden, though, where, yeah, it has an important subject matter, but the film just doesn't really do that much for people. Although that was Oliver Stone, I think Danny Boyle is more consistent. Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's pretty big prestige. It has an excellent cast. I could see it doing like Venice.
People think the play is really good. They think it's like got juice.
Danny Boyle could come back into the Oscar race, I guess.
A little close on this one. I'm a little close on it.
You're close? Okay, well, let's keep going. The writers, you got Edward Berger releasing a film with A24 in December. This is Edward Berger's third film coming out in consecutive years. The plot is an Australian living in Ireland embarks on a frantic search for his missing wife. If you thought it was going to be an Australian or Irish actor, you're wrong. It's Brad Pitt, Julianne Nicholson in the supporting role. I mean, the writer did Bones and All, Suspiria, some of Guadagnino's films, and it's based on a novel.
It has a 3.6 on Goodreads, and one of the things that I pointed out about Ballad of a Small Player early on was that it had a 3.5. It's not like a
well, The Zone of Interest had a bad score on Goodreads because it did. That book was not acclaimed.
Yeah, but the movie was way different there.
Yes, it was very different.
Edward Berger, we were like, how could Ballad of a Small Player miss out on Best Picture after his last 2 films? I mean, the Academy loves this guy.
Well, we didn't predict it.
I know, but I'm also not going to predict this one. Conclave and All Quiet were like big time prestige Oscar dramas.
Yeah.
This, again, it's centered on Brad Pitt.
Yeah, another character study. Yeah. Maybe he's a Best Actor contender. I mean, it's just about a guy looking for his wife.
It does have an awards season release date from A24. It's on the calendar.
You have Artificial. This is a Luca Guadagnino film. What have we learned about Luca Guadagnino in past years? Well, that you never know what he's going to do next. And 2, you never know how good it's going to be.
Everything since Call Me By Your Name has been 0 nominations. Artificial is Oscar bait, though.
It's said to be a comedic drama set in the world of artificial intelligence around the period at OpenAI in 2023 that saw Sam Altman fired and rehired in a matter of days. And Andrew Garfield plays Sam Altman.
It also has Yura Borisov.
Yeah.
And Monica Barbaro.
Jason Schwartzman. I think it could be interesting, but just, you don't know if Luca Guadagnino is going to isolate the audience, or...
It's also questionable how much he can do this type of movie. After The Hunt was a film that you wouldn't necessarily expect from him, and it didn't work for most people. This one is kind of biopic-y. It's kind of a satire. It's hard to bet on the man after what's happened to his 3 most recent films. It really is.
Yeah.
It's also a piece of very recent history. I don't know if that's bad or good. I mean, sometimes it works. Like Social Network was big, but...
Maybe Garfield's a contender for Sam Altman.
He sure could be, but...
I think it sounds like a very interesting film. We're in the category of big prestige films, but the next category is fall festival hopefuls, like films that kind of need more attention. And then if they get it, if they're acclaimed, then they can break out. Florian Zeller's Bunker. I'm not going to predict this, but it's got Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem. Attractive cast. Paul Dano's in a supporting role. When an architect accepts a morally ambiguous project, building a survivalist bunker for a tech billionaire, his wife begins to question their marriage after 17 years. So it sounds like a dual lead situation here. Maybe Penelope Cruz is the bigger play. That would be my inkling here, that Penelope Cruz is the Best Actress play potentially. And look, Florian Zeller directed one of the best films of the year, and then he directed what people thought was one of the worst films of the year.
We don't know where he's at. We don't know if he's a one-hit wonder. We don't know if The Sun was a fluke and now he's back.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem, these are... big performance. They are a husband and wife.
Yeah.
They were in the Oscar Ferrati film, didn't work, but you could see how the film could be socially relevant, have some meaty roles for the actors, but at the end of the day, he's a bit in timeout. Like, we don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, but you never know what he's gonna do next. I think The Sun was criticized for being heavy-handed. I would say the normal, middle ground thing to do is to look at this as an acting contender. I would keep that on the radar, and then just, that's it. It'd be funny if you like called that and you were correct, you know? Like if that became a huge Oscar movie. It just seems unlikely.
If this was the movie that was coming out right after The Father, though, we'd probably be predicting it.
It's funny because I kind of agree with you. Here's an interesting film. This is big prestige, but we don't know if it's going to come out this year. Tom McCarthy, director of Spotlight, has a film called The Statement.
Isn't this not coming out this year?
I think it's probably not, but there's a chance they could rush it to release by December. In 1980, climate experts have gathered at a beachside resort in Florida for a weekend conference to write a so-called statement about how to address a growing emissions crisis, which proves easier said than done. So it's about people in a room discussing, you know, the future and like knowing that their carbon emissions are out of control. It might be like a Doctor Strangelove kind of film. Really? It's kind of a comedy drama. It's people in a room.
It could be dry.
Paul Rudd's in it. There's that.
Okay.
Paul Giamatti.
That's not anything. John Turturro, Paul Giamatti.
Sony Pictures Classics is releasing this domestically. It's based on a book called Losing Earth, which is based on a true story. It's kind of a big awards baity movie.
Turturro's already being campaigned by SPC this year for the Pickpocket movie, so why would they double him up?
That's probably true. No, I think that'll probably be next year. But there is a chance it comes out. Sense and Sensibility. People are taking this seriously because it is Focus Features. I don't know, guys.
It is the director of Blue Jean, which was a very critically acclaimed film.
Yes. Yeah, however, that's very fair.
I think that no.
Why?
No. Well,
because may I remind you, Focus Features only has Werewolf.
This is the Oscar bait of old. They've already have a movie version of this. There's been so many adaptations. People are content with the ones that exist. I just don't think a Jane Austen adaptation is going to get nominated in 2026.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that period dramas like this are really in fashion. Also, here's what really kind of stands out to me. Like, I'm not really excited about the cast, okay? Daisy Edgar-Jones and George Mackay are like very straightforward choices that don't get me excited. You could easily see them being in this sort of film, and here they are. I get that the director is exciting.
It's just squarely British. This is like when people make Hamlet, and it's like, I don't care that you made Hamlet.
Here's an interesting one. This is from Neon. It's kind of a thriller, so I wouldn't take it too seriously, but it's called A Place in Hell, and it's from director Chloe Dumont, who did Fair Play. Fair Play was very good. When I saw that, I was like, that director could do something one day. Like, we should watch out for her.
A lot of people don't care about Fair Play, though, for some reason. It didn't really do that well when it came out.
That's okay.
People thought it was mid.
Look, it was a Sundance movie.
The plot of this one sounds exactly like Fair Play, though.
This one has Michelle Williams.
And Daisy Edgar-Jones.
And Daisy Edgar-Jones.
Who you just dissed.
Yeah, maybe I dissed her. Andrew Scott. Is a top criminal defense attorney known for representing unlikable clients in high-profile cases, is a relentless workhorse at her firm, and fully expects to be named partner. When another attorney joins the firm, her job is put to the test and makes her question just how far she'll go to protect it. Yeah, that's very much like Fair Play. I agree.
But Michelle Williams being in anything is worth raising an eyebrow, I would say.
I think
just for her alone.
Maybe you put her in your best actress list.
Sure, I would. Performances in Fair Play were very good.
Also, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a fall festival thing. But it's kind of thriller vibes.
Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't
it's like a thriller that goes to extremes that isolate some people.
That's a TIFF movie.
That's what Fair Play.
That's a TIFF movie.
That's just like what Fair Play was.
That's a TIFF movie.
Ancient History. Here's an A24 film from Annie Baker, who directed
Janet Planet. No way.
Is it an Oscar contender? No. Am I excited for it? Yes, I really liked Janet Planet. I thought that was very promising. There's not like a huge cast here either.
Okay, then no.
I know. But I like throwing out the films that I'm excited for.
Fair enough. I agree she's a director to watch.
We got A Long Winter from Andrew Haigh. I get that y'all are like, oh, well, you know, All of Us Strangers, and he has a good track record. Well, I'm actually kind of worried about this film because the novel is like a little surreal.
That was kind of true about All of Us Strangers.
I know, and that's why it didn't get nominated for anything, is it?
But who's the cast? It has a less stacked cast. Fred Hessinger, Katrina Balfe. I like them, but I feel like that's not as stacked a cast as All of Us Strangers.
Right.
Andrew Scott, Claire Foy, and Jamie Bell, and Paul Mescal.
Yeah, it's also distributed by Mubi. I mean, maybe it'd be one thing if it was A24, right? But like, come on.
Or Searchlight with the last one.
The film is set in the mountains as fall comes to an end and a family prepares for the long winter ahead. I think it's going to be strange. And that's not a bad thing for us movie lovers, but it's not a great thing for Oscar prospects.
I think we need to mention two movies that a lot of people have in some predictions and say that it just doesn't, the evidence doesn't seem to like it's there that they're coming out this year. One is Death of a Salesman, Chinonye Chukwu. Octavia Spencer, Jeffrey Wright. Would definitely consider this for some categories, but it doesn't seem like it's coming out this year.
Yeah, I think that's an acting play, but there's no evidence it's coming out this year.
Also, Otis and Zelda. This is the director of Miss Juneteenth. John Boyega is playing Otis Redding, and Daniel Deadwyler is playing Zelma Redding. That is an interesting movie that I'm excited for. Those are Oscar bait roles. Probably not coming out this year.
Here's a Paul Greengrass film, The Uprising, starring Andrew Garfield, Catherine Watterson, Jamie Bell, Thomasin McKenzie, Woody Norman. It's Paul Greengrass.
I can't.
I know. During the English Peasants' Revolt in 1381, a farmer becomes a leader of the rebellion against the crown forces of a then 14-year-old King Richard II. So,
too old school.
It's like old school Oscar bait. Paul Greengrass keeps making old school Oscar bait, and then isn't landing.
What about Behemoth? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Behemoth is like borderline big Oscar bait.
It's from Tony Gilroy, who directed Michael Clayton. Since then, he did Duplicity, Nobody Knows, The Bourne Legacy, Nobody Cared. So what is this film? It's kind of interesting. Follows a musician from a family of musicians who returns to Los Angeles, a love letter to the music of the movies and the people who make it. Apparently, this has like 7 composers. 2 of them we know, James Newton Howard and Alan Silvestri. So like big names. Maybe all the composers will be big names. I don't know how you nominate all of them for score. But this is, very much about the industry and the craft of music and movies. A love letter to film scores, perhaps, which is, kind of Oscar bait. But the cast is kind of weird. Olivia Wilde, Matthew Lillard, Pedro Pascal, Will Arnett,
Eva Victor.
Yeah, so that bundle of people just isn't speaking to me as being like, that's the crew that's like a part of a Best Picture thing.
Well, sure about that, but I actually am really excited about all those people to be in a movie. I like
them.
Matthew Willard was really good in Life of Chuck. Like, he's definitely got some chops. Him. Will Arnett was great.
I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, I need to know more about this. I can't just go off and predict this because, when a director comes back from not making Oscar films, like, you never know what they are anymore. Like James L. Brooks, people were like, oh, well, that guy made an Oscar film way back in the day.
It is Searchlight, though. Searchlight Pictures.
It is Searchlight.
Oh, Searchlight does plenty of flops. You should not predict all of them. You got Wild Horse 9 in, just leave it at that, I say.
So here's one that I'm really excited to bring to people's attention because it's number 146 on Award Expert in Best Picture. It's called Misty Green. It's from director Chris Rock. His last film was Top 5. This was a comedy that he wrote and directed, and it got really good reviews.
It was acclaimed. It had like good drama. It was kind of like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Louis type of situation.
Now this one, I'm getting a feeling that it's a little bit of a step up. Maybe it has more ambitions. It is, again, a movie about Hollywood and the industry. I imagine it's going to have like social commentary and especially satire about Hollywood. So maybe this is speaking to the right people. Here's the overview. Misty is an undeniably talented actress, but her vices have derailed every attempt to revitalize her career. Her best opportunity in ages arrives in the form of Jordan, a film director with the perfect role for her, were it not for their contentious past. So it's about an aspiring actress in Hollywood trying to get a big role. And they cast an actress that is maybe one of the lesser known of the names in the cast, but appropriately so for an up-and-coming actress. Rosalind Elazar. I think she might be really good in it. It seems like she might be getting a great role here. The rest of the cast includes Chris Rock, Adam Driver, Daniel Kaluuya, Anna Kendrick, Ice-T, Topher Grace, Anthony Anderson. Daniel Kaluuya in particular is very discriminate in the roles that he takes. Like
Adam Driver too usually
makes me think, well, these are actors who don't do that many films and they're pretty discriminate in their projects that they select. So maybe there's something special here. Like maybe this is a really solid script. Or maybe they're just excited to work with Chris Rock. I think there's going to be a lot of celebrity cameos here. Like I am getting vibes of the studio. Yeah, so I think this is kind of going to be like that, for better or worse.
No, I think it sounds good. And, don't be deceived. Like, it is Chris Rock, but it sounds like it's a dramedy that actually leans into drama. Might even be more of what you'd call a prestige drama, given the cast, given the meaty role for this rising star actress, too.
Yeah, I also want to say it says it's in production on these database websites, but I am nearly certain it's not. There was a producer who was vlogging that when he was working on it in August, and they wrapped like in August or September. So this is absolutely in post-production, and I think this will go to the fall festivals. My guess is that that's the kind of film we're looking at here, where they're going to shoot their shot.
Chris Rock is also a beloved actor, and a screenplay nomination for him, I think people would easily get on board.
And it's A24. So guess what? We don't need to worry about, is someone going to pick this up? And if it premieres, who will take it? I'm excited for this. I also have, in kind of a similar way, maybe even a similar rank, we have Tony from director Matt Johnson, who just starred and directed and wrote Nirvana the Band, the Show, the Movie, who also directed and wrote Blackberry.
There's a biopic about Anthony Bourdain, a young Anthony Bourdain, played by Dominic Sessa. And you also have Antonio Banderas as his mentor chef. I would say those two roles definitely say to me actor, supporting actor, contenders, right?
Yeah, contenders.
And Matt Johnson, given Blackberry, given everything else he's done, I think that this is going to be, high Rotten Tomatoes, high likability. Critics just enjoy it. It's got energy. I'm very excited for this biopic, in fact, because of Matt Johnson here.
Yep.
And I think it's really going to capture the spirit and the passion of Anthony Bourdain.
I would be shocked if this didn't go to TIFF, right? Because Matt Johnson is...
it'll be at TIFF.
They loved that screening so much at Toronto. Of course they want to go back there and play Tony for an audience.
A24's got it.
Yeah, so that and Misty Green might be some really fun TIFF movies from A24.
I was close to predicting this at one point because I was thinking, man, everyone's going to like this. Dominic Sessa could get in. It could get even two actors. But, it's not one of those movies that's getting 10 nominations or anything. You're usually better off trying to predict those movies. Just in general, it's at least a Dominic Sessa contender, I would say. I mean, it's a biopic.
And maybe screenplay. So if it becomes a real contender for all of those categories, then maybe Best Picture can come along. So Netflix has a couple here. Saturn Return from director Greg Kuidar, who directed Sing Sing.
Him and Clint Bentley always, they're always co-writing stuff, swapping out who's directing.
Yeah, so so they both have writing credits here.
They have a decent track record now. Sing Sing got 3 nominations, Train Dreams got into Best Picture, and here's Saturn Return.
Yeah, this one, the synopsis is, a Chicago love story follows 2 college sweethearts over a decade as they navigate the complexities of adulthood, and fate tests their youthful dreams. So, seems like it's very much a heartfelt film. And you got Rachel Brosnahan, Will Poulter, Charles Melton, Gene Yoon.
This sounds like a past lives type of movie. I think that this will be well liked on Letterboxd. Yeah. I think that young people will cry at it. Yeah. I'm excited for this. I just don't know if the Oscars always embrace these types of movies. I mean, in order for them to do so, you have to be past lives level good, easily one of the best movies of the year, because the Oscars aren't always eager to go for these romantic dramas.
Well, especially the youthful ones, right?
I definitely think this could get a screenplay nomination.
It's the cinematographer of The Green Knight and A Ghost Story. So nice. That's awesome. If you heard about this and you're like, you know what, I'm going to put that in. I'm going to take a bet on the Clint Bentley and Greg Kuidar collaborations, then I would say, hey, go for it. They've really been elevating these small films to feel really powerful and really grab people's hearts.
Could be an acting contender too. Netflix also has Possible Love. This is Lee Chang-dong. This is a big deal that this movie is coming out and that Netflix has it. Mm-hmm. This is the director of Burning and Poetry, among other films that all have great reviews. This is a very consistent filmmaker, and Burning was major. This is his first film in, 7 years since Burning? If this was not Netflix, it would be going to Cannes. That is the reason that we are not predicting it for Cannes. It's likely going to be Venice. Unfortunately, I do feel like that sets it up in a worse position. I mean, consider that No Other Choice did worse than Seurat at the Oscars. I don't know how to justify that other than the Cannes launching pad seems to be a really good place to debut as an international film.
Well, I think there's other reasons for that, but that's fair. I think it helps to be at Cannes.
But Netflix is behind it, so they can kind of
That's the thing.
As much of a campaign of this as they want.
You have in the lead role Cho Ye-jung, who was in Parasite. That's good for, recognition. Otherwise, you're probably not going to know the cast. But I'll read you the plot. 4 strangers' paths cross by chance, leading to complex emotional entanglements that challenge their existing relationships and force them to confront uncomfortable truths about love and commitment.
Kind of like Saturn Return. It's just very character relationship focused. Yeah. I don't know if that always, does well at the Oscars. Obviously, the performances and the writing can be very good and be worthy.
You just have to be, it's the bar for you is high. You got to be one of the very best films of the freaking year.
This will probably be kind of up there.
It's weird for the director of Burning to go and do a film for Netflix. That, it's just a little strange to me.
There's a whole story about it. He couldn't get financing for his film from other people.
Oh, this is pretty cool. I think we're in for a treat.
It's also kind of a no-brainer to be nominated for international feature, which
That-
you
yeah,
have
that's
to consider.
true.
Like that maybe puts it in a good spot. Clara and the Sun, Taika Waititi. This is reminding me of Next Goal Wins. It's like, oh, I guess it's coming out the next year.
No. I think Taika's
Kazuo
gone.
Ishiguro novel that is pretty well liked, though. Amy Adams, Jenna Ortega. Amy Adams is kind of a curse at this point for her films.
Jesus.
And that Cornell Mundrusco movie is no exception. The Chaperones. India Donaldson. Why don't you mention this one? H24. Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Paul Dano. Actually, well, Daniel Deadweiler, Alfred Molina, Dolly De Leon. You know, Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, two pretty young leads. They both led The Long Walk. But, you know, the Oscars often aren't really interested in films about the youngers, the 20-somethings. But India Donaldson directed Good One, which we thought was very good, and you really loved it, and we're absolutely looking up for her follow-up.
The plot is 3 slacker friends are hired to transport a troubled teen across the country. So it sounds like a comedy.
Slacker comedy.
Slacker comedy.
Yeah, not really an awards thing.
Not an awards thing. I mean, you know, India Donaldson, like, Good One wasn't an awards thing either.
Prima Facie is based on a play that was a one-woman play on Broadway. It won't be a one-person thing on film. Jodie Comer won a Tony for it, and Cynthia Erivo is in this role. It's about a lawyer who expertly represents her clients in cases of sexual assault, and then she herself is sexually assaulted, and then she has to, like, confront all those things that it sounds like she would confront. This is definitely a Best Actress tipped role for Cynthia Erivo. The director's not going to convince you, though. She directed, like, Nanny McPhee Returns and some other, like, random thrillers. So this may not be, like, the best movie of the year or anything. I just, you know, you got to put Cynthia Erivo on the radar, so maybe the movie as a whole.
Cynthia Erivo is definitely a contender, and then the film itself, I'm like, maybe.
Primetime. Lance Oppenheim is a documentary filmmaker whose films have been generating a lot of buzz. Some Kind of Heaven and Sperm World. This is his first narrative film, and it's about a journalist who takes on an undercover world of crime and changes television forever. Essentially, this film is about Chris Hansen without really being about Chris Hansen. And Robert Pattinson is playing a Chris Hansen figure, and he is seen on set with a similar haircut. This is amusing to me, and it could be interesting. I mean, it's also interesting how there's been kind of a reckoning with this show and its legacy, and we saw that in last year's Predators documentary that was at Sundance. There's also been interest in this on, like, YouTube essays. Interesting role for Robert Pattinson. I'm not seeing a ton of people in, like, supporting roles, but it's A24. I Play Rocky. Look, the director of this film won Best Picture, didn't he?
Who is it? You didn't say.
Peter Farrelly.
Oh my God.
It's a
We can't.
biopic about Sylvester Stallone playing Rocky.
We can't.
I Play Rocky. Anthony Ippolito.
Who is that?
I don't fucking know, but he's playing Rocky. I don't care about this, and it seems like a TV movie that I don't care about. The Greatest Beer Run Ever was nothing, though.
Yes,
I think this will be
correct.
nothing, but you got to put it on there.
You don't have to.
That's the beauty of doing this list is we don't have to number anything.
Well,
So-
we're going to.
I'm not going to number all the way down there.
Maybe we'll number 1 through 20 or something.
I guess you could shout out Koreeda's other movie if you want to. Look Back, based on the manga, which was also made into an animated film that had a lot of acclaim. He might be releasing 2 movies in the same year, and this one is more likely to be like the fall film. Or maybe Look Back gets held to the next year. It's also not neon like Sheep in the Box. Tenzing is about a mountain climber. It's a biopic. He reached the summit of Mount Everest. I don't really care about a Mount Everest drama, do I? But it's Tom Hiddleston, Katrina Balfe's in it, Willem Dafoe's in it. It's a documentary filmmaker. She directed Sherpa, which has a really high Metacritic score. This sounds like those free solo filmmakers who did biopics, and Nayab was mid. You know, maybe Tom Hiddleston, who knows? The writer is Luke Davies, who wrote Lion and News of the World, if that's worth anything to you.
Madden from Amazon MGM Studios. Nicolas Cage is playing John Madden.
I don't know what Nicolas Cage is doing here. Maybe he'll actually be really fun and weird. And Amsterdam happened, and Joy was before that, and I think David O. Russell is over.
No, David O. Russell seems to have lost his touch. So I guess it's a fun one to mention, but it's not going to happen. I'm going to go down the list of the community predictions, and I'm just going to say the Memory Police does not seem to be actually happening.
Not even happening. I was going to predict it. Because
Well, no, I don't think it's happening like this year.
Oh.
Or
We thought it wasn't happening last year.
there's no cast, there's no one attached to it except for Lily Gladstone, so it might not even happen, period.
wow.
Some films get stuck in pre-production hell and they just never get fully assembled, they never get the financing.
Sean Durkin has a movie. Did you know that?
Sean Durkin.
It's got Kaylee Spaney and Drew Starkey. It's a romance about two music-loving 20-somethings growing up during the 2000s. It's based on a book that has a 3.6 on Goodreads. I'm not going to predict it, but, you know, The Iron Claw actually got like a little bit close. You could argue. Ben Affleck has a film called Animals that he's directing and starring in. He is the lead role, apparently. Kerry Washington is also in it, Gillian Anderson, Adriana Paz.
Stephen Yeun. The plot, though, desperate to pay their son's ransom, a mayoral candidate and his wife resort to extreme measures, revealing dark secrets they never intended to bring to light.
It's kind of like a high and low.
It's going to be a crime thriller action movie.
It's
so
Netflix.
That's where I'm like, okay. Yeah, but Netflix is just because it has marketability.
No, that's true.
It's not because it's prestige.
No. It might just be a commercial Netflix play.
Probably just an action film that people like.
What about Photograph 51? Is that not coming out this year?
Photograph 51 will uncover the story behind the brilliant scientist whose pioneering work in X-ray crystallography captured the image that revealed DNA's double helix structure. The movie poses the question of how Watson and Crick, scientists working on the same conundrum in a competing lab, have been awarded the Nobel Prize for discovery without even a mention of her name.
I know the answer.
What?
Sexism.
Oh, good for you.
So this was a play, and Nicole Kidman even played this role. Natalie Portman's doing the role. It just kind of looks like the Oscar bait of old.
But is it coming out this year?
I do not know. This is Tom Hooper getting out of director's jail. We'll see what he does with it.
Natalie Portman does good films.
It's an Oscar bait movie.
It is. This should be in the prestige category.
All I see are reports that Natalie Portman was tipped to play the role in May 2025, and since then it seems like there's been no updates. May not even.
Yeah, it may not have gone into production. It's hard to know.
One movie I found out about later, but I figure was worth mentioning is Clarissa. It's from two filmmakers who did a very acclaimed feature that premiered at Berlin years ago. Didn't get a ton of attention, but did get good critic reviews there. This one is a reimagining of Virginia Woolf's Miss Dalloway, set in modern-day Lagos, Nigeria. But it has some Hollywood stars. Sophie Okonedo is in it, who we talked about earlier from Mouse. She would have a pretty good kind of Oscar comeback narrative if she got a Best Actress nomination. She's the lead here. Okonedo, I've eaten good this year. Iowa Debris and David Oyelowo are also in it. I mean, shot on 35mm. Neon has it. There's some ingredients here. So I had to mention this one when I found out about it.
All right, I think we did it. I mean, the haunting thing is that every year for the past few years, there's been a film that we didn't even list. Isn't that haunting?
I am haunted by that.
Now, we say we're done, but what we really still need to do is put it into a neat top 10 and actually do the predictions.
All right.
First of all, what do you want to put at number one? It doesn't really matter what's at number one, but like last year, we happened to get one battle after another correct, even though we like switched it out in the middle of the year. It's so hard to predict what's going to win. But look, the trend in recent times has been find a filmmaker who everyone's excited about, hope and pray that it's their best film, or that enough people think it's their best film to give it Best Director and Best Picture. So is there a film that fits that mold?
I don't think any of these movies are going to win in my top 10. I just don't.
Well, you have to put something there. You can put The Odyssey and be boring. All right, let's just make our top 10. So here's what we can agree on. We agree that The Odyssey, Project Hail Mary, Cry to Heaven. By the way, Cry to Heaven doesn't have distribution yet. We don't know the distributor.
It might be Focus, though. Focus doesn't have that much, and they had his last film, so it would be kind of a perfect storm for them to get it.
Jesse Eisenberg's film. For A24, that can be our A24 pick. Fjord, that can be our Neon pick. Narnia, we have Narnia, yes?
We have Narnia. That's Netflix's contender for us.
Yeah, I feel pretty strong about that. Digger, I think that could really be the film that falls off this year. That's like a big Oscar juggernaut, but
I'm fine. You got to put Digger in the top 10.
I got Digger in. All of a sudden, we putting that in? We got to put an international film in, right?
I feel like yes.
Fjord is not in another language. Now here's where it gets difficult.
Put Wild Horse 9 in.
All right, Wild Horse 9?
Yeah.
Okay, Wild Horse 9. Here are the contenders for number 10. You know, we've only gotten 3 right for 2 years, so that's not that good. The Social Reckoning, Dune Part 3, Being Human, Saturn Return, Werewolf,
Possible Love is interesting.
Josephine.
Josephine's interesting. Again, 1949, I would easily put that in if I thought it was coming out.
Possible Love, Misty Green, Michael, Jack of Spades. Maybe that's our top 20 too. I feel like I just have the top 20.
I mean, Dune, look, with Project Hail Mary and The Odyssey and Narnia, we kind of have our blockbusters covered.
I'm not putting Dune in.
And I would say in terms of, is this list like critic leaning, or is it crowd please or
point.
leaning? I actually think that we have kind of a nice balance right now. You might want to go with like a big filmmaker though, and that could be Sean Hayter.
Yeah,
with the Best Picture
you could
winner.
go with a big filmmaker.
Aaron Sorkin, Social Reckoning, like that
Yeah.
is something you have in Best Actress, like kind of
Social Reckoning is tempting.
Dune Part 3 is also like, you know, at this point in the year, you have an okay shot calling it, but I do think it would be fair to not call it. Being Human is another SAG Ensemble contender from Sean Hayter.
So we've decided, after longer deliberation than you can even understand, that 1949, look, it's on the fence for coming out this year, but we've decided to predict it anyway. We feel very strongly that if it did come out, we would just have too much FOMO for not predicting it. We know that it has screened internally, which means that there is some kind of a complete cut done. Is it something that is, you know, satisfactory to Paul Pawlikowski? Will he want to keep editing it? We don't know. But the fact that they're screening it this week, alongside the other hopefuls at the studio, makes me think, well, they're doing that because this is the time to submit your movie to Cannes. So our best guess is that, yes, 1949 is coming out. And therefore, we predicted, as we said in the video, definitely just one of the Cannes juggernauts that when it shows up in the lineup, everybody's going to say, yep, I'm putting my chips in on that one. Sure, we have 3 films from Cannes right now. It might be too much, it might not be. But, you know, if we got 2 out of 3, that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty solid for right now in the year. And, you know, Movie may want to consider that if this one is a hit, maybe keeping it for themselves if they want another Oscar contender.
I'm just excited to get more information out of these films, to have them premiere, to go to Cannes and consume all of these that I've been anticipating for many months now. So hopefully this should be enough to make your list on Award Expert. And thanks for sticking around for the whole video.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What would you put at your number 1 slot?